Hello, hello. Good morning, duelists. Or good evening, good afternoon, depending on where you're watching from. Put those assembles or scatters or Charlie arrives in chat. I will not give up on the Charlie arrives. Oh, I see some Charlie arrives. That's cool. Let's go. There we go. Lady Ryra, I think it was 19 months. Today I learned about Runic Odeon. I don't know about that. I feel like, I mean, I know you're joking, but I feel inclined to answer seriously. I feel like the Odeon deck always wants its field spell up, no? So unfortunately, that is just not a pairing for us. Not something we can do as the Runic enjoyers. How was your alarm this morning? Surprising. I did not know it was going to happen, but yes, we did have a test alarm. And that threw me off a little bit. I did not expect it. But yeah. What about Paleodion? Ooh, you know what? That name's kind of fire. Paleodion. What about some Runic Monarchs? Okay, hear me out. Okay? You play Runic Monarchs. You play one Hugin in the extra deck and nothing else, so that after you activate one Runic spell, your Domain of the Monarchs is live. And you have Fountain. Well, no, you won't have Fountain because you have Domain. Never mind. Delete the VOD. It doesn't work. It's 2 field spells. All right, Grand Mark, thank you for the 28 months. Welcome back. Appreciate that. Thank you. I'm doing good today. How are you, Nilmi? We got a fun stream ahead because we've got a little bit of everything. I figured today would be a good day to do a little bit more Duelist Cup prep. So that means we're going to finish the first stage of the Duelist Cup, hopefully. I forgot exactly how deep we are in the first stage. I think we need like 2 or 3 more stages. I think we can do that in one sitting. Then we also are going to talk a little bit about the format. I'm trying to think about non-engine a little bit. And then we're also going to have a little deck doctor later as part of the Patreon and Twitch subscriber benefits. We're doing another deck doctor today, this time for Master Duel for the second stage of the Duelist Cup. So we've already got a couple of decks submitted for that. So we're going to take a look at that later and hopefully help some people prepare their decks for the Duelist Cup. We've also got some new cards. So a little bit of everything. All right, let's begin by warming up. Will you stream the second stage? I will stream the second stage. For sure. The only thing I don't know yet, the thing that I haven't decided yet for myself, is how hard I will commit to grinding it and how seriously I'm gonna take it. Depends. If I find a deck that I like, I will commit to a tryhard session again. If I don't, then I told myself last time I won't try super hard and delay and be here for the entire day, essentially play as much as possible, that kind of thing. So I haven't decided yet what exactly it's going to be, but there's definitely going to be some streams on the weekend. You will find out what it's going to be. This is Botanical Lion. Millennium Snake Eye is actually fun. Playing it yourself is kind of fun. You feel powerful when you play that deck. Genuinely. It's just playing against it, which you're probably going to do a lot. So this is Linkuribo or Linguribo? I don't know. Okay, nice. 50-51. What do we got here? I got no idea. Synchro Soldier. Okay, haven't seen that card before. This is something Magician. The thing is, there's a lot of cards called Magician. Is it Tuning Magician? Tuned Magician. Yeah, that's right. That is right. Faith, thank you for the 14 months. Appreciate you. Camiosa, also thank you for the 16. Welcome back. Appreciate the support. That is a UA midfielder. Weather forecast. Weather report. Weather report. Hero signal or D signal? D signal. Destiny signal. We did react to the new Monarch cards yesterday. The reaction is going to go onto the Plus channel today or tomorrow. I don't know exactly when we've scheduled it, but it's going to be there. What's the mini Utopia called again? Something Onomatopia? No. Utopic Onomatopoeia? Okay. Does Germany, Europe not partake in daylight savings? What, like, does the clock change for us? It does. I don't know if the dates are exactly the same across the entire world, like in the countries that have it, but we do change our clock forward and backwards once a year each. That is a hero. Elemental hero or mass hero Koga. Yeah. This has a weird name. Yowie, yeah. Yowie. I can't tell you exactly when our hours change because I'm the type of person I get surprised by it every single time that it happens. This is a Zephyra card, but I don't know which one. Zephyra War. Uh, 1,000 Needles. It's on March 30th. Oh, it's soon. So is it moving? Is it the one this time around when we get extra sleep or less sleep? Because I like one of them, I don't like the other. We get less sleep this time? Ah, man. That's unfortunate. I feel like I've seen this. I feel like I should know this. Twin Burst? It's a Blue Eyes. Yeah. Grand Mole. You get the same amount of sleep if you simply don't set an alarm. See, that does work. That does work if you have no plans on that weekend, which I'm not sure exactly if that's the case this time. The extra hour of sleep used to be so clutch whenever it happened on a YCS weekend. Like that was crazy. That's a dragon card. Radius. Half Moon Dragon. Yeah. Wasn't that played in Duel Links recently in the Tachyon deck? I feel like it was. That is super transformation. That's a megalith? Is it Awk? Yep. What do we have here? Oh, side effects. Yeah. What is that one? It like lets your opponent draw cards and you gain life points or something? Something like that. What is this? I have seen you. Fabled. Who is that? Scrap Rage? Okay, I was thinking in a different direction. I actually wouldn't have known that one. Is that Golgonda? Golgonda? That is Golgonda. That is the Shuten Doji. Valen. The Nordic Relic. All right. That is a Geargia card. I do think that is either the new Xyz or it's a Geargia like Geargia change. The trap probably, yeah. Is that Bladefly? That is Bladefly. Okay, good. It looks like a new version of Valkyrion. No, it's not a BattleBot. Okay. Is that a Valkyrion retrains of some sort? Because it looks a lot like Valkyrion. This looks like a Gen X card. Gen X Magma. I want to say that's Mars. Yeah. Fighting Spirit. No. Morale boost. Yeah. That is an ally of justice. Wait, it's not an ally of justice? Brain Golem? Is it really? Oh. Okay. My bad. Psychic. No, psychic. Genetic fighter? Genetic woman? Okay. I thought it was psychic woman. That is one of the sarcophagus. I think. No, it's Dimension Capsule. Dimension Capsule. Different Dimension Capsule. Yeah. Wolf Axe Wielder. I thought Wolf Axe Soldier for a second, but Gold Sark at home. It actually is not even it's there's one thing that's better about it than Gold Sark, which is the fact that your opponent doesn't know what card you're getting. Other than that, it's a lot worse. Green Gadget. Frankie, thank you for the raid. Hope you had a good stream. Welcome, everybody. We are just getting started. This I have seen. It's a very old card, but I don't know what it's called. Kurama? That could be. That does ring a bell. That is it. Okay. Dark Highlander. Yeah. Synchro 7 or 8? That is double or nothing. That is Cleafort Monolith or Scout? I think it's Monolith. Yeah. Is that Zaborg chilling over there? Icy Crevice. That is Zaborg. You look familiar. For hire or Tri Brigade? I think it's Rugal. Yeah. Looking like a Fire Fist. Can't tell. What's going on here? Is that a Fire Fist? Deity? Ancient Flamval Deity. Okay. Not a Fire Fist. Lindblom. Yeah. 4-digit kind of day, huh? See how high we can get. Noble Knight. Oh god, I'm so bad with Noble Knight names. Gawain. Gawain. That's a worm. Worm Prince is what that is. This looks Ignite-y. That is Ignite. The problem with Ignites is that they all look the same, so I have to look at chat for this one. Margrave. Well done. This... Oh, the puppet dude. Grandpa. The Meto. Onk. That's an Abyss actor. I'm gonna skip it. I have no idea. Comic relief. Ooh, that's a recipe. It's a monster. Oh. Well, kind of choked on the new Velcar at the end, but 1,072. You know what? That's pretty good. It's been a while since we've gotten that much. Definitely not washed, I declare. Wait, did no one believe? Dude, no one thought this would happen. 0 people bet on 1,000 plus. Bro, you guys just fired your points into the oblivion. No one got anything. Well, that's what you get. That's what you get for never believing in me. Honestly, no refunds. No refunds. That's on you. That's on you. Nah, I don't feel bad about that at all. Okay, we're looking for... Oh, wait. We're looking for an old monster with low stats. What about Mega Rock Dragon? Because that's question mark. Okay, we are looking at 0-0. Level 5 or 6. Level 5 or 6, 0-0. Level 5 or 6, 0-0. Not dark, not earth. And not just an effect monster, most importantly. So it needs to be like a synchro or flip or something. Is there a 0/0 synchro level 5 or 6? Belfito? Is that a Jirac synchro? That is a Jirac synchro. Okay, I'm gonna be honest with you guys. This one I would not have guessed. I would not have remembered. Jirac Velfito. Or Velfido, whatever. Alright, there we go. Who is right? Tebow, thank you for the 20 months. And please unban mine. Thank you for the 26 months. And no, the answer is still no. Even after 26 months of asking, we will not unban mine. But welcome back. All right. Now, we have just one quick thing to look at before we jump into some master dueling for today. And that is just a quick set of new cards. Now, we've got new Super Quantal support. Now, as far as I'm concerned, there's only one Super Quantal in the world, and that's my buddy Quantal Think. So that's the only Super Quantal I need. Everything else is kind of just like a bonus on top that I don't really need. But the thing with Super Quants, is basically just that there's been two ways how these cards have been used in the past. Which one of them was as their own deck, which has never really been a thing. The Super Quantals as its own deck, like it has this crazy Towers monster where like it just makes great Magnus and then sits on that card and wins the game off of it, which I think has like one even noteworthy achievement. I think it won like an ARG back in the day in the hands of Calvin Tahan, I think. Which is the only thing I've ever heard from pure Super Quantals, I think. Other than that, they were actually pretty solid cards overall, especially Red Layer as like a warrior extender, or Blue Layer as a teleport target and stuff like that. Like they've been splashed into other things, but that's the only thing I literally remember those cards doing. Also, the rank 3 was like a solid generic extra deck option at some point, because like they have like the Super Quantum Blue dude from the extra deck is like a rank 3 that can pop spell trap cards. So like that's been used sometimes in like Burning Abyss decks and stuff like that. But that's about it. So it doesn't really have an identity as its own deck other than Towers Turbo, which is not the most fun thing, but we'll see if these new cards change that in any shape or form. We've got Super Quantal Fairy Zayden over here, which is a level 1 Dark Zombie with 0/0. Can only use the first and second effect of this card's name each once per turn. If this card is in your hand and you control a Super Quant monster other than Super Quantal Fairy Zayden, you can special summon this card, then you can make its level become the level of one Super Quant you control. You contribute this card and send a Super Quant card from your deck to the graveyard except a Dark Monster. That's a cost. Special summon a Super Quant monster from your deck except Super Quantal Fairy Zayden. That seems pretty powerful. I am struggling to remember if any of the Super Quantals that already exist have a good graveyard effect. Like, is that cost we are paying here? Is that an actual bonus? Is there something great we can do? Green is a draw, red layer is a revive. Okay, let me, just for context, hold up. Let me quickly, let me bring that up. Super Quant theme deck. Just, it's not that many cards. Let's just really quickly get them for context. So, you've got Blue Layer over here, which if this card is sent to the graveyard, target up to 3 Super Quantal cards in your graveyard, shuffle them into the deck. So that gives you recursion. This one says, if this card is sent to the graveyard, you can discard a Super Quant card, draw a card. Okay, that's not terrible. You do have to discard for it, but that's not bad. Then we've got Red Layer, which is, if this card is sent to the graveyard, you can target a Super Quant monster in your grave except Red Layer, special summon it, but it cannot activate its effects. Okay, so that's probably the best use. Because you're going to send, this is going to be in your graveyard, right? This is going to be in your graveyard. So you will get the revive from red layer immediately. Okay, white layer. Tribute this card, reveal 3 super quants, and send the rest. But that doesn't have a graveyard effect, right? Tribute this card, reveal 3, picks 1 to special, send the rest to the grave. Okay. Yeah, I mean, good card. For sure. That's not white layer. Oh, there's a different white one? Oh, they already had support. I didn't know that. I didn't know the second wave existed, to be honest with you. I know none of these cards up here. You can send a non-light super quant from your hand or face up field to the grave. Special summon this card from your hand. When this card is normal or special, send a super quant from deck to the grave. If you do, this card attribute and level become that monster's. If this card is sent to the graveyard, you can add a super quantal fairy Alphon from your deck or grave to your hand. Okay, that's also useful. That's also useful as a graveyard effect for sure. Okay. Yeah, pretty good card then for super quantals. That seems like a pretty broken extender. Slash, it can also be a starter. It's also a 1-for-1 target. That seems pretty neat. Then we've got Super Quantum Black Layer, which is a level 7. This is just Fenrir, by the way. This is just Fenrir. That is just alt art Fenrir. This is just them. Maybe look. This is them. Isn't Fenrir banned in the OCG? Yes. Okay, here's my theory. They designed an alt art for Fenrir, but then decided they were going to ban it. But the art is out there, you know. We've already paid an artist to make the art for us, so we're going to put it on a different card. We just have to wait a appropriate amount of time so no one notices. Didn't wait long enough. I noticed. That's just Fenrir. That's just Fenrir. You can only use the first, second, and third effect of this card's name each once per turn. When your opponent activates a monster effect, quick effect, you can discard one other card, and if you do, special summon this card from your hand. If this card is special summoned, you can special summon a Super Quantal Mech Beast Xyz monster from your extra deck by using this card you control as material. This is treated as an Xyz summon, and if you do, attach a Super Quant monster from your graveyard to it as additional material. If this card is sent to the graveyard, you can add a Super Quant spell from your deck to your hand. That's pretty good. That's essentially just like a hand trap. Which of these are Super Quantal Beasts? Because I remember they all have additional effects if they have the correct material attached. So let's say the way this would work is you have to discard a Super Quant for this. It doesn't specify this, but if you don't discard a Super Quant for this, you can't use the other effect, right? Because you have to attach a Super Quant from your graveyard to it as material. That is not an option. The way it's written, you have to have a Super Quant in your graveyard to be able to do this. So if you're going second and it's the first turn of the game, you have to discard a Super Quant for this. Otherwise, it'll not rank up. So if you discard green layer, you could make Ouroboros, which I think is a Book of Moon, which is pretty good. If you discard blue layer, you can make the Grampulse, which is a spell trap destruction, which can sometimes be good against the right deck, you know. If you have red layer, you can make this, which says you can detach an Xyz monster material from this card, target a monster on the field, destroy it, which is also a quick effect if it has red layer as material, so it can be a pop. So, and then what is this one? The light one is negate that face-up monster's effects until the end of this turn. This is a quick effect. So, depending on which one you discard, you can rank up into either an MST, a Book of Moon, a Destruction, or like an Imperm, which is all in its own. Like you are investing some cards from your hand into this sort of thing. I think that's fair. That's pretty cool though. The fact that it can be different forms of disruption if you pair it with a different card. Yeah. Are you sure you need a target engrave beforehand turn 0 other than the card you discard? No, the card you discard has to be a Super Quantal, then it works. That's what I said. You don't have to have one before you summon it. But after, if you want to rank up with it, you need one in the graveyard. So what you discard for it has to be a Super Quantal, is what I said. Because yes, you can discard any other card for it, but then you won't get anything from it. Like this is just a 2400 body if you don't discard a Super Quantal for it. This is neat. So like you are investing 2 cards for a disruption here, but you are getting those cards back later, right? Like you will be sending this to the graveyard eventually to get a Super Quantal spell from your deck, which is good. And whatever you discard, most of them have graveyard effects, as we just read. So if you discard like a red layer, and the red layer is material now, later on it's going to go to the graveyard and revive a different card from your graveyard. So like you're investing cards, but you're getting them back later, and you are getting disruption out of it, which I think is overall pretty powerful, pretty good card, I think. The only thing that I'd be worried about is that how good is this card going first? Because it is, at the end of the day, it's a level 7 monster that if you draw it in your opening hand and you're trying to go first with this deck, then it's not trivial to just like use it. Of course, it helps you play through hand traps, because this does work on your turn if your opponent ashes you or something. So that's neat. Also, if you discard it for other things, it will still search a spell card. So overall, I think pretty good and balanced card. Pretty powerful. We have Layer 19, preventing the invasion to pitch black super quantum. Okay, that's a lot of words. That's a lot of words. Quick play spell. Activate one of these effects, but you can only use each effect once per turn. You can either target an attack position monster, change it to defense position. Okay, mainly not face down defense position. Otherwise, that would just be Book of Moon. Just to defense is not as good. If you control a Super Quant monster, special summon a Super Quant monster from your deck in defense position with a different original attribute from the monsters you control. That's very powerful. Or you can set a Super Quant trap from your deck. It can be activated this turn. That's really good. That is essentially Theosis, right? That's pretty much Theosis. And it also has a secondary effect that gets you the trap cards, which there's no new trap card here. So that would be Super Quant Union Magna Formation. Your opponent cannot target Super Quants with card effects during your main phase 1. You can target a Super Quant, attach one other face-up monster as material. That doesn't seem that great. Magna Slayer is target a Super Quant exceeds, equip this card to it. It gains attack equal to its rank times 100. Inflict piercing battle damage during your battle phase. The monster can make 3 attacks. I don't know if it's worth playing those trap cards. I think the main effect you're going to want to use with this card is always the second one. That's always what you want to do. I don't know if it's even worth putting the trap card in your deck. Sometimes there's going to be situations where the first effect comes in handy. Because like it's maybe you draw 2 copies and like you just turn a big monster to defense. That can help sometimes. But mainly you're going to want to use the second effect. But already the card is definitely good enough without the utility of multiple different effects. Like the second effect is already worth playing. So that is pretty good, yeah. Now here's the thing. These are 3 good cards. All 3 of these cards are very high quality. The problem is the archetype that they're being thrown into is this, which kind of feels like it needs a little bit more than just a couple of good main deck engine pieces, is because that's what this is, right? It doesn't give you any alternative end boards or boss monsters or anything like that. It's just more like consistency and some extension and some other starters and stuff like that, but not really any different routes. So like, are we just going to, is this just going to be still a Towers Turbo kind of deck? Like, are we still going to just make Magnus? Which, I don't know if this card has the same, like, power as it used to. What is the link to? The link 3 says, Link summoned card cannot be destroyed by opponent's card effects. Each time a Super Quant exceeds monster with a different name from the cards you control is special summoned to a zone this card points to, draw a card. Oh, that's neat. I like drawing cards. If a face-up Xyz monster this card points to is destroyed by battle or card effect, you can special a super quant monster from your deck with the same original. Only use each effect once per turn. See, seems neat, but seems like a lot of work to draw maybe a card or two to invest like 3 monsters into. Like, yeah, I don't know. It's definitely not a win con. That's the thing. Like, this is more like an engine piece that if you're resolving your combo and you basically go completely crazy and your opponent isn't stopping you, you can make this to draw some extra cards, but it's not like, this is not the thing that wins you the game. The only card here in this entire archetype that really wins you the game is like this dude, which would end up making this deck pretty vulnerable to a couple of things. Like, I mean, a 3600 towers is already not as good anymore as it used to be, because there are decks now that can summon monsters that are just bigger than it. That was not often the case with the deck back in the day. And this card, for all intents and purposes, this card is essentially a worse X Purely Noir, right? Because if Noir has Delicious Memory attached, it's usually bigger. And this can only spin once per turn during the main phase. So, like, if your opponent is threatening to out your Noir, you can just spin, like, all of their stuff. If you have 6 or 8 materials, you'll spin 3 or 4 cards away. So if your opponent is actually committing to outing the Noir with, like, a really big monster, you can just spin away all their stuff. This thing can only spin once and only during the main phase. So I don't know if that's the greatest win con ever. But these new cards are great. These new cards are great. For sure. Yeah, but Noir is not a Colossus. I mean, yeah, it does have that additional bonus, which is very powerful. But here's the thing. I don't know how often you're actually making it with 6+. I'm sure it's possible if you go completely uninterrupted. But surely there's also worlds where you just pass on 4 or 5 materials. I'm not entirely sure. I haven't played Super Quantals. I don't know how resilient to hand traps it's going to be and how, like, you know. Magnus also doesn't target. Yeah. But then again, even if what you're saying is true, even if we can make this with 6 materials super consistently when we're going first, how does this deck function going second? Which I guess this new card does help with that a little bit. Which is, I think, the coolest part of this entire wave of support is that this thing is good going second. I like that design on this thing. So maybe it's something worth looking at once these cards come out. My personal prediction is I don't think a deck relying on solely one Towers monster, even if that Towers monster is very powerful, I don't think that is going to be something you will want to rely on. But these new cards are cool. All right. So that is new cards out of the way. Now let us move on to some stage 1 dueling. Because we are putting some focus on Master Duel at the moment, because the second stage of the Duelist Cup is coming up. And we are also going to do 2 things later today once we finish the first stage, which I don't know exactly how long it's going to take. We are currently in level 18, so we've just got to level up 2 more times. We're also going to do a tier list, because people keep asking me, you know, what non-engine should I play in Master Duel right now? And I haven't done a Master Duel non-engine / hand trap / board breaker tier list in a long time. So that is something I want to do. And then once we're done with that, we're also going to do some deck doctoring for the upcoming Duelist Cup, which people, Patreons and Twitch subscribers have been able to submit their decks, and we're going to go over some of those, or hopefully all of them, depending on how much time we have. But yeah. Let's hop in. I don't even know what deck I still have registered. I think it's still the Millennium deck. Any time estimate? It depends how long this takes. I also don't know exactly how long the tier list will take. I'm guessing we'll have like the last 1.5 to 2 hours for the deck doctor, maybe earlier. I don't know. Also, Blue Commander, thank you for the first time sub. I appreciate that. Oh God. Please God, no. Please just pass turn. Please, for the love of God, don't have Fukaushi. Oh God. Well, Magispector we can maybe beat. I don't know what that means. Will they summon this out? Okay. So... Cool. Oh, I can use this. What does this do again? If there are 2 cards in the field zones, the turn player can target an effect monster in the opponent's main monster zone. Place it. Oh. Well. Love me some Pendulum. You'll do the same grind as last time? I kind of want to, but only if I find a deck that I feel like I'm good with and that I can confidently like say I have a chance of qualifying with it. This is another stun deck. Hmm. 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 Okay. Well. Here we go. Oh, Maxi, the big welcome labyrinth. It is lab, which I am somewhat glad about. Somewhat glad about that. Could have maybe read the Lady Labyrinth in hand, honestly. Like, could have waited. That would have been a Giga Chad move, because the big welcome wasn't Disruption it right now, right? They needed another monster. So there is a world where I should have... You know what I mean? Well... No lab? No, I was not planning on playing lab this time. Don't worry about it. Alright, let's just resolve this Snake Eye Ash, you know? I think that's a solid start to any situation. Gonna have to play carefully into those back row, but as long as we can get to Temple and all that, I think we're gonna be fine. Might end up having to use crossout just to chain block the lady from setting something. The Ruma Karma Cannon. Yeah, I think that's worth doing this for. Let's banish just a bad card against Lab. Let's banish Droll and Lockbird. Actually, Fuva is even worse at this point. They're both equally dead, to be honest. This at least makes Link Karibo. Let's banish this. Okay, unfortunately can't chain to this one because they don't have a monster in the graveyard, so they will get a set from that. I can tribute summon my Flamberge Dragon still, which is somewhat neat. Calling Fusion probably the correct call to make, to be honest, because Doom Dragon and Fiendsmith potentially, so don't hate that decision, to be honest. So we'll place Snake Eyes the Avelstar, and then we will normal summon Flamberge. Poplar effect here, probably not the best idea. Probably not the best idea to use that. The annoying part is if I bring up Snake Eye Diabellstar by placing a fire monster back there, I will not be able to use Flamberge to revive, which is somewhat annoying. But that's a welcome labyrinth. Doomed Dragon. I'm under they dimensional barrier for fusion, guys. You don't have to suggest you do not have to suggest the Doomed Dragon line. Thank you. Appreciate the effort though. Another Karma Cannon. Okay. Sure. So we'll just bring out this by placing. Poplar doesn't have a target. It's probably just Snake Ash. So I'll set. There's a world where I just leave the Snake Eye Diabellstar in the Spell Trap Zone, but the problem is then they probably just bounce my Flamberge back to hand. Different Dimension Ground is scary, somewhat. Not somewhat, actually. It's pretty scary. Oh, okay. That weird. That doesn't mean they're not triggering Lovely this turn? Okay. Come on, man. Not like this. uh, There's different dimension ground. It's so annoying I don't have any ways to chain to this. Because there's nothing in the graveyard. Does this target? You can place this card and that opponent's monster. No, that does not target. That's a Dogmatica punishment. You can still trigger Flamberge with Doomed Dragon. I think so. So I also can still search Oak. So like we can still do a decent amount of stuff here. Let's go ahead and go with this. Let's place Flamberge. This, because they're treated as spell traps. We'll do this. Then we'll go Doomed Dragon effect. Alright, we're throwing it back to them. It's fine, dude. I want it in my spell trap zone so that I can summon it out on their turn with my Divine Temple. You don't understand. You just don't understand, okay? When they summon, this will jump out of the spell trap zone and it'll put something from them into their spell trap zone because it triggers on... You just don't understand. You don't see the vision. You simply do not see the vision. It's actually quite sad. I don't even know if I can summon it. I don't think I can. Okay. So, which one is the one I know is a punishment? That one in the middle. Okay, so we'll go ahead and make SP Little Knight. On the one we don't know, which is that one. Imperm. Okay, that's annoying for the Snake Idea Bellstar. Because I was planning on outing the Lady Labyrinth with the Snake Idea Bellstar. That's okay. So... there's a Flamberge. If I go Oak, I can summon back Poplar. How do I out? Is the punishment live? I mean, right now, if they activate punishment, I chain SP and banish their thing. But yeah, I mean, I can crash with Flamberge, but then I also lose my Flamberge forever, which is a little annoying. I mean, gotta do something. SP got imperm. Bro, I'm talking about next turn. We're losing a lot of resources. But I think it's gonna be okay, because they are also very low on cards and resources. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna pop the set card, which makes the lady targetable. And then we put it into the spell trap zone. Can't attack directly. Making any of these doesn't really make sense. So actually they imperm DSP. I can attack. I'm mad at myself that I did the Doomed Dragon effect, because otherwise this was a pretty clean game so far. It's just so I will steal. I mean, yeah, okay. Not the cleanest game, but it was fun. The thing is, I keep forgetting that Flamberge Doom Dragon can target your own cards. It's very off-putting when you're comboing with it on your first turn, and it asks you whether you want to activate the effect. Like I feel like I'm always this close to misclicking it and just activating. Don't worry, I've clipped it and shipped it on the Discord channel. I don't know if you're trying to be, if you're trying to make fun of me right now, but I actually do appreciate that, because I really like when people clip stuff so we can use it for like shorts and stuff. Holy Millennium Hand. Lubellion in a 44 card deck. I'm ashing Lubellion, dude. Could be Dragon Link. Is Dragon Link. Okay. Well, we shall watch a movie. Tachyon. Oh. Okay. Not. Go off, King. Show me what this deck does. It's probably still a movie. Yeah. The owner adds a Tachyon spell trap from the deck to hand. This is funny because you can do this twice in a turn by giving it to your opponent once. If you draw it. So then you still get to add. Because the owner is still them. Alright, 7th Tachyon. This card comes out in TCG today, by the way. I uploaded a Maze of the Master introduction video yesterday, I think. So if anyone wants to know my opinion on Maze of the Master and stuff like that, you can go ! YouTube and check out that video. It's not doing super hot, but I still wanted to make some TCG content, because we've been doing a decent amount of Master Duel recently, and that's been doing well, so I'm happy about that. But I don't want to neglect, the TCG. And these set introductions, they typically don't do super hot, but I still wanted to do it just for completion's sake. When will you pick up 7th Tachyon? Need to ask Superman for advice on this. What, you're saying, like, you don't want to pick it up before I do, because when I do it drops? That's possible. I don't know. I haven't picked up anything yet. Davidson, thank you for the 20 months. And Stapsinski, thank you for the tier 1. I appreciate you. How do you find Doom Dragon? I think Doom Dragon is absurdly powerful in the Millennium version of this deck. Honestly, I think it's even that good that you might even play it in other versions, like, because you can even use the Fiendsmith equips for it. I think Doom Dragon is phenomenal. Afterglow. Galaxy Eyes Afterglow Dragon. See, I am simply not going to judge any of the things they're doing, because I am not proficient enough at Galaxy Eyes Tachyon to say whether any of this is correct or not. Divine Golden Shadow Dragon. Dragluxion. I will have a Maze of the Master box to open, but it's not here yet. I don't know when it's gonna happen exactly. I got an ad for 1:30 at the start. They activated the search spell. After the ad ended, they resolved it. See, perfect timing. Maybe they were just thinking of you. So Tachyon Transmigration is a card that I am familiar with because it was very powerful in Duel Links, and I did play a little bit when that card was running rampant there. So that is basically a Solemn Judgment. It's even better than Solemn Judgment, and you can activate it from your hand. It's pretty crazy. Like, it negates the entire chain, and you can activate it from hand, and it's not once per turn. Like, that card, that is a custom counter trap if I've ever seen one. Non-zero chance you don't have a turn. Wait, they FTK too? No, have mercy, please. Doesn't look like FTK. I feel like they're setting up for a board, but we'll see. What is the FTK? They just make the big the thing that normally attacks for game. The what's it called? I don't know. Okay, so that is not very helpful. That is Tachyon Transmigration and a spell negate. Let's begin. This. You might attach it to the Harbinger immediately. Wouldn't be the worst play. They have two. Oh, they have two Tachyon Transmigrations? I must have missed the add of one of them. Tachyon Transmigration. Tachyon. They do have two Tachyon Transmigrations. That is concerning. My deck also does not play Typhon, which is very good against this deck. That would be nice to have. So we might be cooked. We might be cooked. Yeah. Two Omni Negates and a spell negation through a hand trap is definitely kind of cooked. Is Tachyon actually strong? Going first, I think it's a pretty good combo deck. Like, nothing crazy. Like, there's other combo decks that do the same thing or are roughly the same quality. But it is good, yeah. I think the problem is when it has to go second. I don't know how good it is at that. Because, like, then... Yeah. Okay. Depends a little bit on where they use the last Tachyon now, but we should be fine, I think. This or Azamina is better. I think so far I do agree with the majority of other like pro players I've seen prepare for the Duelist Cup. I think the Millennium cards are better. I think the Millennium cards are kind of crazy. For Transmigration, you have to specifically control any Galaxy Eyes monster. This is not a Galaxy Eyes monster. So if I go ahead and activate Engraver onto this, it forces the card, right? And then the last card in hand... The last card in hand is... the dragon dude. So I will do this. There's no fire in their graveyard. Wait, what do they have? What is the response window? I'm scared. Oh, this can summon. Okay, fine. If I make sequence here, I only have 2 light fiends. If I make Beatrice right away, I can't make... If I make Beatrice right away, I can't make the thing... I can make Moon, yeah. If I make Moon and then sequence, I can go Lacrima into yeah, okay, hold up. I need to normal summon Ash. I need to make... I can also just make sequence. That Moon is better. Why not just sequence Lacrima Beatrice? Because we don't have enough light fiends for that right now. We need an extra light fiend for that. The third counter trap is scary now. Do they play 3? They can't search a third one right now. Which is ridiculous. Okay, they play 3. Oh my god. That's fucked up. Yeah, we lose to that. Triple Omni negate. So I guess I have to find a way to win without using the Ash Blossom. Unfortunately, I don't know that exists. I don't know if I had a way there, if I can't normal summon. Maybe it's Beatrice. But I can't... Beatrice doesn't do anything in that scenario, I don't think. Like, I didn't have the Bellstar in the graveyard to use Original's graveyard effect. Yeah, no, Beatrice didn't do anything there. Yeah, if I hold the thing, it doesn't do anything. Okay, so we're going to... What do we start with? Starting with Beansmith or start with some Snake Eyes stuff? Start with Snake Eye. If you didn't summon Ash, you could have canceled the hand trap search. I could have, but then I didn't have a good play. I didn't have like Just Engraver plus the thing didn't do anything. Is the problem. I'm still not sure if I'm supposed to go through Oak here. Most lines I see go through Oak, but I'm not sure if this is correct because you take away your last target for Original Sinful Spoil search and summon. Like, I'm not 100% convinced that you should be doing this. Kind of got everything I need already. I was like, I'm gonna pivot to Moon at some point, but if I have the Fiendsmith cards already in my hand, so we won't need to do that. Flamverge. I think you still need Moon. Do I? I mean, maybe. At the moment I'm still freestyling this deck. If I decide to bring this to the Duelist Cup, I will have to like learn some ideal sequencing combos and stuff like that. I'll probably have to sit down for like an entire day and learn the ideal, you know. Should still make Moon here. It plays around everything. Makes Photon Lord too. Wait, why does it make Photon Lord? How does it make Photon Lord? Oh, because Doom Dragon. I keep forgetting how broken Doom Dragon is. Hold up. Yeah. Okay, so the order is a little scuffed here, but I suppose we can still do that. If I do this here now... Then we'll Requiem equip. Then we'll summon Doomed Dragon. We'll not use effect this time. Then we'll make that. Then we will probably try and make Desiree now. If I go IP first, I can't negate my Promethean Princess. Maddie Naps, thank you for the 5. Appreciate that. Thank you so much. Thank you for that support. Let me just quickly figure that one out here. So I definitely still... I want Desiree and I want Promethean IP set up. If I make IP first, bring back 2. Make Promethean. Bring back Flamberge. Then I have to make 1, 2... Opinion on Photon Lord over Zombie Vampire? Oh, every time. Every time correct. I'm just clicking because I am out of... Like, I'm running out of time. And I'm sure my board is fine either way. Hopefully. They're not using any hand traps, so like they might be on breakers, but we'll find out. Yeah, I'm short a Light Fiend for the sequence play right now. So... Could just be Apo. Fiendsmith. I could fuse with Tract. If I fuse with Tract... Make Lacrima with this one in hand, this one on the field. Yeah, I'm hurrying. through that. No time. Yeah, I think somehow we fumbled our way into it. There's probably a way to make this a little more optimal into potential hand traps, but the end board pretty good. Engage. Sure. It might be Board Breaker Tenpai, which is like one of the decks that could beat this with the right hand. Which is why I'm holding Ash Blossom for the Tenpai portion of it. Looks like they have... Are they resolving or are they thinking about chaining? Are we in resolution? We are in resolution. Okay, they're resolving. Good. What do you think about Curry Photon? I saw Herman using it in the Challenger Cup last Saturday, and I thought it was neat. I don't know if it's good enough in like an open Duelist Cup environment, to be honest. Because it's only really worth it if there's a lot of Tenpai, I think. I mean, actually, maybe that's not true, because the thing about Curry Photon is that worst case, it is still a Light Fiend. So it can still be a very fine normal summon. So I actually think there is like a world where it's okay to play it. Will not negate the thrust. Will negate the talents. Dark Hole. Or will negate the Dark Hole, I guess. The reason you negate your own Desiree in cases like this one, the reason you negate your own Desiree in cases like this one is in case they go talents to take it, because then they could still use it because it's once per player. And if they take it, it still has the equip. Dude, most normal head by hand. Jesus Christ. They were one card away from winning that. Because the thing is they're I guess not one card. I still had Promethean Princess and IP into SP. So even if they have, let's say they have Called by the Grave for Promethean Princess, then the IP into SP still gets them. Or yeah. No, I think they needed like they needed Droplet, essentially. I think they needed Droplet. If they had Ultimate Slayer, they win. Depends, right? It's not that easy. Because you can't target the Desiree. So, like, they have to Ultimate Slayer the Photon Lord. And I don't think that makes a difference. Hmm. 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 Well, I think that's their top deck. So we'll hash that real quick. It must be full of monsters. Wait, why didn't you use that last turn? I don't think I have outs anymore. They take the Clockwork Knight. I don't think I can get over this. Sweet. Hmm. Well, we do play Imperms. If I draw an Imperm, I can at least Imperm the statue, special Diabel by pitching a spell card and then attack it. And then maybe they can't beat. You've got to be kidding me. So that goes top of the deck now. Okay. I mean, we gotta go in now. It's not winning, though, I don't think. It's not winning because the Fairy Tale Luna is actually pretty good against the Diabel Star. Like, Original doesn't do anything against Dimensional Fissure, so I just have to grab Wanted here. Then I'll attack the statue, but... Fairy Tale Luna just just beats Diabel Star, right? Tribute Summon Engraver doesn't do anything. If I had a normal summon here, and I could make like SP, it'd be neat, but... Don't think we can beat the double fissure. Kokoyana, thank you for the 8 months. Appreciate that. Welcome back. Oh, there goes Diabel Star. And now I don't know how we can beat a 2350 card that they searched for -1. Does fusing with track do anything? That might not be so bad, actually. Hold up. Why is it 2 Dai-Fis? Tribute Summon Flamberge, but then what? Tribute Summon Flamberge does nothing against Fairy Tail Luna. They just bounce it. Yes, Luna is weaker than it, but Luna has an effect, guys. Can we not forget about our opponent's card effects? Because they will do something. I was like, I could just make Requiem into SP, but I forgot that there are machines now, so I can't even do that. It's so shit. We have Phoenix? Yeah, we have Phoenix, but there's 2-dimensional fissures. And once again, Phoenix also loses to Fairy Tail Luna. Well, yeah, I guess. You have OSS for Poplar? No, it's back in the deck because I drew with Wanted. I also have nothing in the graveyard I can shuffle back. Oh, yep, cool. So if we draw Snake Eye Ash or Bonfire next turn, we actually win. Because Snake Eye Ash into Poplar, into Temple, into Snake Eye Diabell is game. It would feel so good, please. No. Dude, I can't have one nice thing. The Millennium cards were also game. Like, Sengen Jin was also game there. It's so sad. I could not be sadder. Okay, hold up. That might still be good enough. Let me find out. I think it is good enough. I think it is good enough, actually. Oh, that's gonna feel so good. Oh, it's gonna feel so good. Yeah. Don't care. Sure, bounce it. Should have had Macrocosmos stun Mandy. Should have had Macrocosmos because under Dai-Fi I can still summon Doom Dragon. Oh, it feels good. Oh, it feels good. Oh. Whew. I don't remember the last time a win has felt this good. Oh, and the Duelist level up. Oh my god, it's perfect. Ah. Whew. Don't want to go. Think about the 3 months. And Dabatsi, think about the 8 months. I appreciate you guys. Ooh, no, out to maxi. Scary. Also only one play in general. Just Fiendsmith. Maybe adding Archfiend Eccentric to search with track to pop the first monster might not be a bad idea since it's still a normal summon. I do not think it is a bad idea, no. I think it is probably okay to play 1 or 2 extra normal summons in this deck because it is very normal summon light. I have seen some players use Koakimeru Guardian actually because you can just use your normal summon on something that protects you from hand traps. Which I don't know if that I haven't tried that yet personally, but could be something as well. Yeah, Ben brought it up to me. I don't know who came up with it first, but what was the thing? Neo Kaiser Seahorse. All right, let's go. Hop off. It is the Blue Eyes. Why not make Charmy live? Because I don't have a play next turn either. I need to get this what I'm doing right now needs to happen. Otherwise I can't play next turn. And that would kind of suck. And since they already used an Ash Blossom on my Engraver, I felt like there was a decent chance they wouldn't be able to out my Maxi. So it's like... I felt decently safe with Maxi Imperm. Of course, if they have like called by for the Maxi and then also the hand that just plays through Imperm, they might win. But I need to like try and play to my own game plan as well. And if I don't have follow-up, then they might just not commit into more Charmies or Maxis because they just saw me pass to just without normal summoning and everything, right? So I think this does put me in a better position overall. Blue Eyes Jet Dragon. You imperm the link? If I'm not under Maxi, I probably imperm it. I'm not too worried about it right now. But I could have. I could have negated it. Wouldn't have been terrible. They did not send Maiden. So they might be Maidenless. We'll see. Wishes, discard Wishes. That is not Maidenless. I wonder how likely it is that I lose this turn. Because I don't play a terrible amount of things I can draw into with Imperm. With Maxi, rather. So Ultimate Fusion. Maybe they don't have Maiden. Maybe that's my best bet. Just put them on not have Maiden. Link would have been the better target. I right-clicked a little too fast because I felt too safe under Maxi. I didn't really think about whether I should imperm the Link. We got a lot of imperms. But I don't think they have Maiden, so that's... But is it game with Tyrant? Tyrant attacks twice, and they get back Jet? Not enough. Not enough yet. Maybe with Ultimate Fusion on top of it, it might be. I might actually lose, yeah. I might lose because I didn't imperm the Link monster. They should go for it. They're doing the right thing, I think. Because I feel like if they just pass turn, they will lose. So if they have a way to go for it, they should go for it. And I don't think I have anything that I can draw anymore. Because, I mean, imperms, fubas, nothing does anything. Ultimate Fusion is main only? Yeah, but they could be doing it main phase only, right? I don't have any Nibiru I can draw. I think I have Droll and Lockbird, which is way too late at this point. I don't think I have, this list does not have Bestials, so if they just go for it, they win. But they do need to play a second Tyrant for it, right? They do need to make a Tyrant with this, and then Ultimate Fusion for a second Tyrant, I think. So my deck has nothing it can draw here. Yeah. If they just go for it, they have it. They're taking a long time though. Oh, they're in battle phase. Okay, I think that means we live. Right? Because Ultimate Fusion is main phase. This will come back. It's a lot of damage, but I don't think it's enough. Unless I miscount. Maybe the seahorse makes it enough? Hold up, 16. Oh, it is enough. Oh, it is enough by 100. It is enough. Ah, damn. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Should have impermed the link. But yeah, they did the right thing. Pushing through that imperm was pushing through the maxi was definitely the right thing to do there. It be like that sometimes. Are you having fun playing this deck? Playing it yourself, if you're not up against stun, I do think it is fun. It's one of those decks where you play it yourself and you're popping off and you're doing crazy things. You know, it does kind of go hard, but it is like the format overall. I mean, the thing is also we're not playing many mirror matches so far. Which would definitely be not as enjoyable. Samsara D Lotus. Why didn't we place Poplar in defense? Yeah, I could have placed both in defense. Maybe that's what I needed to do. Huh. Nabi, think about a 26. Droll doesn't do anything there because they have Phantom set up before doing anything else, guys. The only way you really stop Yubel is Maxi or Fuba. Everything else, they go first, they win. If I want you to react to a video, do I donate? No. You can't just make me watch a video. You can I have a channel in my Discord where you can post things you want me to react to and I will look at it. And sometimes I will if I think it's fun, but I won't just watch anything just because you throw money at me. What if it's 1 billion? Then I might reconsider it, depending on the video. The hell is a Dream Cicada? Now tell me, does Droll and Lockbird hurt them here? Add a level 4 insect from your deck to your hand, then if you added a normal monster, you can special it and destroy a monster. Retaliating Sea. Yeah, I will Droll. They're trying to search Maxi. Now they still have a Retaliating Sea here, which is somewhat annoying. Okay. Go with Lurie. As long as we find a way to just respect this Retaliating Sea, we should be okay. Because we can beat one face down. I mean, unless it's a crazy face down that I'm not anticipating, but like an Imperm we can beat. And we have Call Pipe for another card in their hand. Thinking about just using the Requiem as a send for Diabell Star. I think that seems pretty good. Never mind. So I special Diabell Star by using Ash. So here's the thing. If I activate Original here, they can Retaliating, which puts me under Macrocosmos for a brief moment, but I can just attack it. Can also make Sequence here into Lacrima, into thingy. I think I'll just do this. I'm gonna have to call by the Maxi that they search once I run over this. Actually, I could Snake Eye Diabell Start into the Spell Trap Zone if I wanted to. It's damage step? Yeah, that's why I said called by the Maxi and not the Retaliating Sea. Or are they going to discard the Maxi and damage step 2? Oh, I should have attacked this first. It would have been banished. That would have been good for me, but alas. Okay, we've beaten the insects, is the good news. I do think Retaliating Sea is a pretty good card, though, at the moment. I like it a decent amount. It was a little bit better when everyone was still playing as Amina. But it's still pretty good against, like, anything with original. Fuva. Well, I definitely care enough about Fuva to ash it. If they have Maxi as well, then it'd be like that. That's that Dia Bellstar effect on people. This is Millennium version right now. And at the moment, I don't see a reason to switch. I don't see a reason to play as Amina over Millennium, to be honest, right now. I think the Millennium cards are very, very good. Jesus Christ, this hand. What does Millennium offer over Azamina? It offers plays that you can commit to without having to invest multiple cards, because you don't have to tribute for Deception. It also is an engine where every single card does something, versus if you draw Hollowed Azamina on its own, it doesn't do anything. As well as it plays better into... I think it just plays better into hand traps. And it's better into Retaliating Sea, which is also a hand trap. So yeah, kind of the same. I think it's pretty good. Okay, so I'm going to summon the Clamber from my hand here. I want to leave the Oak in the deck in case I have to go Wanted into Original to extend later. Let's go for Moon. What about Azamina with Millennium? Technically possible. Technically, you can put every engine in this deck. The Azamina cards are 2 more extra deck spaces, though, which is kind of tough, I think. Yeah, I'm just focusing on not messing this up real quick. Reasonable. I thought that was going to be a maxi, I'm not going to lie, with the want to draw. I thought it was going to be maxi. This is fine because it doesn't destroy. So like my Appaloosa will just keep its attack. So it just means that we baited the trap card in the graveyard. It's whatever. Like it's not like this original will do anything, but we do bait the trap this way. Yeah. I mean, what are they going to do? Apparently they played Snake Eyes with no hand traps in hand. That is never going to work out. Acetone, thank you for the raid. How's your stream? We are on our way to Duelist level 20. This is actually our rank up game if we win it. If we win this, we're done with stage 1. That is a lot of normal summons and a lot of engine, but not the worst hand. Yeah, it's not that bad. It's not great either, but so let's start with Graver. See if they got anything to say about that. Hello, DS Carpenter. Appreciate that. Thank you. We can play through a decent amount of hand traps here, as long as it's not maxi droll. Uva. Those are annoying. Okay, that is not a bad start for us. We can definitely deal with that. The thing is, because I have Poplar in hand, if I start with Snake Eye Ash now, and they let it go through, it actually doesn't do much. But if I go Poplar for Temple, that also doesn't do much. I guess I can just go Poplar, search Temple, and then special Diabell Star if they let it go through. Okay, no response. So we'll grab the Temple. We'll activate Temple. We'll access the Snake Eyes Diabell Star, and then we'll just special the Diabell Star. I think it's good if I put the Snake Eye Ash in the graveyard. Or actually, no, the Lurry. Yeah, I think the Lurry wants to be in the graveyard because it's going to be good for Engraver. But then Snake Eye Ash is good to revive. Let's put Snake Ash. I want to go for Oak, right? And I can probably, if I resolve my combo, I have enough bodies to the point where I don't need the Lurry, I don't think. Because I can still go for Moon. And I might, yeah, I could fuse with Lurry from hand later. Well, that's a little anticlimactic. Well, here we are. I do feel like if I were to play the second stage, it would have to be with the White Forest or the Snake Eye deck probably. I don't know if I could find a different deck that I would be comfortable in that also can win. I don't know. It might just be a matter of if you wanna grind this Duelist Cup, you have to like make yourself familiar with the format and just accept the format the way it is and play one of these decks. Tenpai it up. See, Tenpai, I can see why you find Tenpai appealing in this format. Because genuinely, just leaning back, throwing hat traps at your opponent, and then just killing them is appealing when this is what people are trying to do. But it's like I honestly don't think Tenpai is good enough. Personally, like it's annoying, and I'm very happy if they hit it again on a ban list. But I personally don't think Tenpai is good enough. And that's not just even because I dislike it, because I also don't love Snake Eyes. But if it's like the best deck by far, I'm gonna play it. Like I played Snake Eyes at Worlds too, even though I don't like Snake Eyes. But like if it's the best deck, I'm gonna practice it and I'm gonna play it. The same is technically true for Tenpai. If I believed the Tenpai was the best way to play the Duelist Cup, I would like prepare it. But I don't think it is that. Yeah. Quick toilet break. I'll be right back, and then we'll talk about some non-engine and other Master Duel discussion related things. Hold up. All right. Okay, first stage finished. Let me collect my stuff. Oh, we can try to open a fountain if I have enough gems. Let me see how much I got. 100 here. Ah, we got 400 gems. We can pull fountain with that. Do I still have the pack? I do have the pack. 3 Sengenjin, 1 Golem is better than 2 Sengen, 2 Golem. I mean, you always play 3 Sengenjin because it's the best one to open with. You could play more thingies. Why don't we wait till 1k? Because I don't want to. Stop wasting my sub money on Royal Fountain. You're not subbed. I can see there's no badge next to your name. Also, I just got these gems from the event. I didn't spend any money for it. No, it's from outside the pack. Destiny Hero Dominance. Oh my god. Ace Invasive, thank you for the 15 months. No, I don't love this format. I think it's not the worst format I've ever played in, but it's also very far from the best. I am, like, once again, I do think for anyone that mainly plays Master Duel and doesn't look into the TCG too often, I do think there is cool stuff on the horizon. Like, genuinely, the TCG format right now is pretty fun overall. You know, I'm not happy about every single thing that's happening in the TCG, but like, a lot of the decks that are running around in the TCG at the moment are a lot healthier than what's going on in Master Duel right now. And that includes Malice. You guys know I don't like Malice, but it still is an improvement over Snake Eyes and Yubel combo stuff. So like, I'm hoping that this stuff happens soon, and then we'll be Gucci. Like, we just need to get past the Snake Eyes arc, and then it gets good. It's like when you're watching a show and you know it's gonna get good after the next season, so you just tell your friends like, yeah, just keep watching. It'll be better after the next season. That's what I'm telling. That's basically me right now. I'm telling you guys, after this season, it gets better. But I can 100% understand why people don't like Snake Eye format, because I don't either. Yeah, okay. Now, in terms of, like, just some general talk for a second stage of the Duelist Cup before we hop into both Hand Trap Board Breaker tier list and some Deck Doctor for today. I just want to give some quick thoughts, not in like a tier list style fashion, but just talking about some decks. I personally find the Millennium cards to be phenomenal in these combo decks right now. They are insane because they make Photon Lord if you already have combo. If you don't have combo, they give you Fiendsmith into Beatrice, into whatever you freaking want, which is insane. They give you extra pushes through hand traps. I think they do everything this deck wants them to do. And I think they're better than Azamina, because I don't think you can afford to play both in the extra deck. Like, if you wanted to play Azamina in this deck as well, you either cut the Millennium cards, or you have to, like, cut utility, which you already don't have a lot of. Like, you'd have to cut Nightmare Phoenix, and I don't even know what the other one would be. Because you do need the Photon Lord with the Millenniums, you do need the Doom Dragon with the Millenniums, and you do need one Fire Link too to link off your Promethean Princess sometimes. So, like, yeah. Yeah. Other options, I think, of course, the Azamina version is still very powerful. You know, this is not something I've worked on yet. This is just a list I've been playing around with. but the Snake Eyes as a Mina is also still very powerful. I just think the other deck is a little bit more, you know, concise, a little more, like, as you can see, the list I had was 40 cards, and like, just more, I think it's more efficient than the other one. You've got, I suppose, where's my White Forest? I haven't updated my White Forest list in a long time, so don't take this one for, you know, take this list with a grain of salt. It should probably have Millennium as well. I've seen White Forest Millennium be a thing too, but White Forest is also pretty powerful, I think. This list is just rather outdated. Other than that, I had a little hope that like a hand trap pile could work, like the one I played for one session like a week or two ago, and I made a YouTube video about it that performed pretty well. That deck is a reasonable answer, I think, to Snake Eye decks. It does lose to some other things that are also in the format, like Tenpai and Stun. And the overall problem is that now with the Millennium cards, it just feels almost impossible to stop the Snake Eye decks without, like, with these one-on-one hand traps. Like, if you're trying to throw, like, Veilers, Imperms, Ghost Ogres, Ashes, Mourners at them, it feels very, very inefficient. It feels very, very, very inefficient because you're just not going to really keep up with the amount of starters they will have on average. Like this, because this deck just has like so many different ways it can start. You know, you have Bellstar, you have Millennium, you have your normal summon with Bonfire as well, which can be normal or special summon. You have Called by the Grave and Crossout, which also throw off the equation. You can hard draw the Fiendsmith cards. There's just so many ways this deck can start popping off. And you just need a disproportionate amount of hand traps. Even in a deck that's full of hand traps, if you ever draw like not the right ones, or like some of them in duplicates or whatever, you're just not stopping this. So yeah. Which is why I have also changed this list to just have Droll, Fuva, and Maxi. Of course, it's going to have Maxi and Fuva, but I also added Droll because I just wanted to maximize on the high impact ones rather than, you know, trying to affect Veiler my opponent. Like, if my opponent is on White Forest or Snake Eyes, I just want to put the highest impact hand traps into the deck. Everything else feels like you're fighting a losing battle. Especially in decks like this, that they don't have like an insane amount of hand traps. Like this deck has 14, which isn't few, but it's also not a crazy amount. Like you're not going to have 2 or 3 hand traps super consistently. So I think you want to play hand traps that are good if they are drawn on their own, which I think Nibiru does not provide. If you draw Nibiru alone, no combo deck loses to it. Literally no combo deck loses to it, unless your opponent is very, very inexperienced with their combo lines and they mess up into it, basically. So I do not think maybe for regular ranked sessions, Nibiru is fine, but for the Duelist Cup, where at some point you gotta expect your opponents to play well, then I think it doesn't work. But yeah. And then, of course, friggin' Tenpai is still pretty good. Can't really deny that. I don't think it's good enough, personally. This is a funny version that I made with... I mean, I didn't make this. The idea is a little older, but like the Kaleido chick for Gold Sarcophagus, I think is very funny. This is basically a hand trap version of Tenpai. You can also play the Sky Striker Board Breaker Tenpai. I think they are viable. I just personally don't like them and don't think they're quite good enough. But yeah, the idea behind Kaleido chick is that this thing says, if this card is banished, you can activate this effect. This turn, your opponent's cards and effects cannot be activated during the battle phase. So you can Gold Sarcophagus this, and then you can do everything you want in the battle phase. So like if you have Gold Sarcophagus plus Kaiman, basically, they just die unless they have Appaloosa for the Kaleido chick. Combo decks just lose to Striker Tenpai, I feel like. Maybe, right? But we played against it earlier. And I did the full Snake Eye combo, and their hand was really good. They had what was it? Engage, Thrust, Kaiman, Pydra, Chandra, plus 1 card we didn't see, and they still did not win. Like I think I think that the Striker Tenpai deck is only really scary if it draws Droplet. If it has Droplet, it beats like crazy boards like it's nothing. But if it doesn't have Droplet, then it just doesn't do nearly enough. And you also create a lot of weakness to cards like Droll and Lockbird, which are very common right now. So I think that's overall, like, it's not a bad deck. It is scary. It really is scary to go up against Tenpai still. But ultimately, I personally don't consider it good enough to be the choice for this. Oh yeah. Blue Eyes, personally, I think is something you can definitely play if you just want to have some fun in the second stage. Why is there no seahorses in here? There should be 3 seahorses. This deck is not going to win the Duelist Cup. If you're just trying to get some games in for some quests, and so on and so forth, I find this deck fun and good enough for it. I don't think it's competitive in terms of like if you're shooting for a high result in the Duelist Cup. I don't think Blue Eyes is the one you're looking for. It can definitely finish stage 1. Like if you're trying to have a good, we played Blue Eyes for almost all of yesterday, and we were climbing with it. Like it's good enough to climb with. Absolutely. You know, just get your gems in the event. Fine. 100% fine deck. But not for tryharding second stage. But yeah. So that's just I'm just going through this stuff because I'm trying to set the context for what we're about to do, because we're about to discuss like the position of non-engine cards into this format. Like, hey, what kind of hand traps should I play for the Duelist Cup in whatever deck and stuff like that. So I'm trying to set some context up. Yubel, I think, is good and scary to play against. I just think Yubel is worse than Snake Eyes in almost every way. Which ultimately leads me to, like, if you're trying to do well in the Duelist Cup, just play Snake Eye over Yubel. But it is still scary. It is a scary deck to go up against. It feels like it's a little more inconsistent, but it's even more broken going first than Snake Eyes, I think. But ultimately, I don't think that is something you should really aim for. I don't think that is something you need to do. Find a deck that's better than Snake Eye going first, or White Forest. How good is Exodia Stun? So it depends what you're trying to do. I think in terms of, like, once again, just play stage 1 and do okay in it and finish stage 1 and get your gems and all that, 100% good enough. Like, as much as I don't like playing against it, it is a good deck. Because stun is just a scary concept, and if you have stun that's backed up with like a spell trap negation and a trap that destroys everything, and then you just start flipping floodgates on people, it's like not a bad concept. I don't like the concept, but it's not a bad concept. So I think it can do fine. I think it is just not good enough going second overall, which makes its win rate not good enough to be considered like a top tier deck for the second stage, but it's playable. It's good. It'll do good in the second stage because it's fast games and you can spam it. Mate, that is also a little bit of a factor. Yeah. I don't know if the lower win rate for Exodia makes up for the faster games. I don't know if it, like, what's more important in terms of Exodia, because I do think the win rate for Exodia is going to be very close to 50%, if not even slightly under, if you're in the higher ranks. And if you have a negative win rate, it doesn't matter how fast your games are. Like, it does not matter how fast you can lose your games, essentially, right? Like, if you have a 55% win rate or something and your games are quick, that's good. But if you're slightly under 50 or just at 50, then it's not going to be good enough. So I don't know if it has far over 50. I kind of doubt that it gets over 50. But yeah. All right. Isn't the win rate of Exodia like Tenpai right now? Maybe in ranked, they're kind of close to each other. I could see that. But I think at a higher level that you will expect to face in the Duelist Cup, I think it would be. I think good players are more likely to lose to Tenpai than they are to lose to Exodia, I think. All right. That being said, what we're doing now is we're looking at non-engine cards for this current format, and we're discussing which of them you should or should not play in your decks at the moment. Of course, with the format being Fiendsmith decks everywhere, essentially. Azamina, Fiendsmith, Snake Eye, Millennium, Fiendsmith, Snake Eye, White Forest, Azamina, Fiendsmith, all those basically dominating the game right now, alongside some, you know, a little bit of Tenpai here and there, a little bit of Stun, Exodia, which is basically Stun. So, like that, and maybe a little bit of Blue Eyes every once in a while, but for the second stage of the Duelist Cup, I don't think you're going to see that much Blue Eyes. We're going to talk about hand traps and board breakers and which ones are well positioned right now and which ones you want to focus on. Right off the bat, I want to say we're going to definitely favor hand traps at the moment, unless you're playing specifically a board breaker deck, which is just the nature of the combo decks in Master Duel being incredibly strong at the moment, which just makes it so that every single slot in your deck that you give to a board breaker is something that could be a hand trap, stopping your opponent from doing incredibly crazy things. So we're going to talk about that. But I think, like, at the moment, I think it's clear to everybody that hand traps have a pretty high priority in the game right now. So we're going to start by covering some of those. And we're going to, we're talking about like some other board breakers in case you want to try a board breaker approach. So, and I'm not a fan of keeping the obvious stuff until the very end or anything like that. So I'll just say it right now. The highest priority in Master Duel right now is these two. Because these are the only two cards that will consistently stop Snake Eye and White Forest and Yubel from doing their thing when you're going second. Like every other hand trap here, except for maybe sometimes Droll and Lockbird, requires you to draw like 2 or 3 hand traps to consistently stop them. The only cards that really do it are these two, which is like really, it's really telling about the current state of the format, but it is just what it is. You know, you need to focus on playing these cards in your deck. Even the decks that don't really have a use for Fuvalos when they're going first are playing the card right now because of how important it is. So those are kind of like your game winners when you're going second. Like so much revolves around these cards. When you go first, you want to draw outs to them. When you go second, you want to resolve them. So, and this is also the only reason I think, in my opinion, why Ash Blossom is a high priority hand trap right now, is if you're playing combo decks, you're always going to play Ash Blossom because it negates the other two. Defensively, when you're going second, Ash Blossom is not that crazy. It's solid. You know, it's good. If you pair it with another card, it's actually pretty neat. But it doesn't feel good to only draw Ash Blossom right now. But like the utility with Ash Blossom is really what makes it high priority at the moment. The fact that you can use it to stop your opponent's Maxi and Fuva is really, really important. Now, and then the other one I wanted to bring up here is Droll and Lockbird, which I think is I'm just not a huge fan of Droll and Lockbird, but it is just the next best option when we are looking at blowout hand traps that could be enough when you draw them on their own. It's never a great sign about a format when Droll and Lockbird is like the thing you're leaning towards in your main deck, because like you need an answer to the stuff, but like there is no other card that will stop a good White Forest combo hand or a good Snake Eye combo hand more reliably than Droll and Lockbird if we're already playing Maxi and Fuva. And that is, I think, what you're trying to prioritize here in your hand trap slots is the high impact ones. And that leaves, honestly, everything else, like even cards like Valor and Imperm, right now, I think they're solid cards. And a lot of decks will want more than just the ones up here. A lot of decks will want more hand traps than just Maxi, Fuva, Ash, Droll, because the format just calls for more hand traps. And then we're talking about like Imperm and Veiler still being very good cards. You know, they're still very, very solid, but they are not your highest priority. And they are also not the highest quality. If you just draw one Imperm and you're going second, you're basically gambling. Like, you're just comparing hands at that point. Your opponent does a thing, you Imperm it. If they have the extender, you're screwed. If they don't have the extender, they just pass the turn. But that's not, it's never a great feeling to rely on just those. That being said, there is a couple more of those. So if you are playing a deck with a lot of hand traps, then suddenly they start becoming pretty efficient. Like if you add Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit to the mix, which I'm actually a huge fan of at the moment. I really like Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit. Very good card against Azamina because you can hit Deception. Very good cards against Millennium too, because you can hit the Sengenjin or the Golem, whichever one they start with. Really valuable. Also covers some of the more rogue-ish decks. It feels crazy to call them rogue. They're not really rogue, but they're not as common as like the Snake Eye decks. But like hitting Sangan Summoning sometimes, hitting what was the other one I was thinking of? Against Yubel, you have some decent targets. Against Exodia decks, you have decent targets. It's pretty good. It's a pretty good card in general right now. I do think Ghost Ogre is one of my higher priority cards if I am playing a deck with a lot of hand traps. True Light against Blue Eyes sometimes, yeah. There's some really good targets in almost every deck for it, which I really like at the moment about Ghost Ogre. And then we've got a little bit of a sleeper pick that I wanted to bring up. It's not that much of a sleeper pick anymore. I've been talking about it in past videos already. I think Retaliating Sea is a pretty solid card right now. The only thing that makes me not put, I would have, like, a week or two ago, I would have put Retaliating Sea probably in high priority. I was a huge fan of this card right when Azamina came out and everyone was playing the Azamina version of Snake Eye. I would have recommended Retaliating Sea as a hand trap in almost every deck. Right now, a little weird thing that happened is the fact that people are gravitating towards the Millennium version of Snake Eyes. They're using the Millennium cards to get their combo started and also sometimes make Photon Lord if they already have the combo. And against that version, Retaliating Sea is not as good because you don't have the Azamina cards in there to really counter. Now, the Azamina cards are still popular. People are still playing them. Overall, I think it's a little bit more shaky with Retaliating Sea, though. So I'm still going to throw it in solid. It's a card that I really like in the right matchups. If you're playing against Azamina, the card is phenomenal. Even if you're playing the non-Azamina versions of Snake Eyes, you can still sometimes catch them off guard on original Sinful Spoils. So that's what I like about Retaliating Sea. The other thing you have to understand about it, though, is that it is going to be very weak into matchups that are not combo. Like, does nothing into... basically nothing against Tenpai. Basically nothing against any sort of Exodia deck or something. Very, very non-flexible card in that sense. It's a very targeted card at Azamina and Snake Eye combo piles. So, yeah. Then we have got Nibiru, which I think is not bad. For me, it's between solid, like very bottom of solid, or only good in specific decks. Because what I mean by this is Nibiru, I think, is only good in a niche scenario, which is when you have a lot of other hand traps to pair it with. Like, if you play a deck that already plays Maxi, Fuva, Ash, Droll, Imperm, Veiler, and you have room for even more hand traps, I think then is when you can start considering Nibiru. Because the unfortunate thing about Nibiru is that if it's your only hand trap against any of the combo decks, it will not do anything if your opponent knows remotely what they're doing. And that is true for Snake Eye, White Forest, and Yubel. Doesn't matter if it's Azamina or if it's Millennium or any of that. All of those decks, if your only hand trap is Nibiru, it'll not do anything. So in specific decks, I mean, like, if you're playing a lot of hand traps, you could be looking at Nibiru. But then again, it's also similar to Retaliating Sea. It's also pretty bad into stuff like Tenpai or Exodia most of the time. So it's not only do you have to draw it with two other hand traps together, basically, to make sure it's good, you also need to be playing into specific matchups. So that's why I'm not putting Nibiru as high as people maybe expect it to be in a hand trap format, but it is very specific, I think. Next up, we've got some cards that I think are also kind of like that. Like, I think Mourner, Bell, and something like DD Crow are all viable cards at the moment. They all have their targets and they all have their moments. DD Crow's main, I think, main benefit is the fact that it's better than a Bestial against Tenpai, which is sometimes neat, but it still hits, you know, your Fiendsmith cards and everything. So I like those cards. I think they're good, but the reason why I'm putting them only good in specific decks is because you only play those as like your hand traps number 20 plus, right? Like I played them in the only hand trap deck that we played like a week or two ago. In that deck, they're pretty good. They're fine. But like if your deck is a normal Yu-Gi-Oh deck that has room for anywhere between, I don't know, 12 to 18 hand traps, let's say, I don't think these will make the cut, but they have neat applications. You know, Ghost Mourner covers the Bellstar Extender. It covers the sequence sometimes. Bell covers the Hollowed Azamina Chain Wanted play pretty well. And DD Crow is just overall solid against Fiendsmith stuff, but they don't have a very high priority in deck building. That being said, Skullmeister is probably just mid. Skullmeister is like these, but worse. Like I can't really imagine a scenario where you play that many hand traps that you play Skullmeister. Even in a deck that had only hand traps, I didn't play Skullmeister. So that's that. Bestials, I think, are pretty solid right now because a large portion of these decks, specifically the Snake Eye decks, they do rely on using the Fiendsmith cards in every single combo. And that is a good thing to have Bestials for. The only thing that makes me not put Bestials in high priority is the fact that not all of their combos need the Engraver package. If your opponent opens with Engraver and that's their only starter, of course the Bestial is crazy good. But if your opponent opens Dia Bellstar or just straight up Bonfire, Snake Eye Ash, or Poplar or Original into their combo, then the Bestials are just not going to feel great. They do need to be paired with more hand traps. I think the difference between a Bestial and Nibiru, though, is that the Bestial is already worth it if you just pair it with one hand trap. With Nibiru, that's not always true. If you draw Nibiru Imperm, you're not safe. If you draw Bestial Imperm, I'd say if you use those cards in the right order, on the right things, it's pretty good. Just hit him with like the Imperm first, and then use the Bestial when they extend with Fiendsmith or something like that. It's a lot better than. Also, Magnamut is just a phenomenal card that provides you more value. So even if Magnamut does not completely stop your opponent from doing their thing, it'll still be annoying for them, and you'll still get an extra Bestial later for a better push on your turn. So I do think Bestials are pretty solid somewhere in here. Shouldn't be your highest priority, but pretty decent. Dimension Shifter is, of course, depending on how you look at it. Of course, it's only good in specific decks. But in those decks that can play it, it has a very high priority. So this is one of the cards that, depending on how you're looking at it, it goes into either one of these categories. I think I'm going to leave it up here because if you can play it, it is a pretty high priority right now. Because once again, it falls into that category of it's good enough if you draw it alone. Like most White Forest / Snake Eye decks, they might just pass the turn to Dimension Shifter. If you draw the Millennium cards, you can maybe pay 4,000 life points to make a Photon Lord against it or something. But for the most part, decks will pass to Dimension Shifter right now. So that's that. Purulia, only good in specific decks right now. Not good enough, not nearly as impactful compared to Molcharmi Fuvalos. So when I say specific decks, it's basically Blind Second. If you're playing Blind Second Tenpai, this card is solid. It's good. And you should probably play it because it will consistently give you, I mean, it will usually give you at least one draw, but often two, sometimes three, which is already good enough. But it is not nearly comparable to the power of Fuva. So yeah, just that. Phantasme, I think I'll throw that here. At the very bottom of that category. I did play 3 of this in my hand traps only deck, and I really liked it. But then the problem was that it doesn't actually stop anything. So it's only good if you draw into more hand traps, which is why it's only good in specific decks that have a lot of hand traps. And it also is only good in some matchups. You know, Fiendsmith is everywhere. So you are still going to be able to use Phantasme in like, I don't know, 80% of your matchups or something. But whenever the Tenpai rolls around, or the the Exodia rolls around, like you're going to feel miserable about having Phantasme in your deck. So like, I think at this point, it's just going to be a decision between you shouldn't be playing like Retaliating, Nibiru, and Phantasme, even if you're playing a lot of hand traps, because then you're going to play against Tenpai and it's going to be miserable. So I think that's where you have to like decide which of these you prefer over the others, because you shouldn't play all of them, I don't think. But Phantasme on its own is pretty solid in the right matchups. And then we've got Gamma, which I think is only good in specific decks right now. I mean, like most decks don't want to play a driver break for the payoff of one Gamma. Like ever since this card has been limited, it's just not that good anymore. If you're playing a blind second deck, you might consider it still. Maybe alongside some Psyframe. What's the spell one? Delta? You might consider in decks that play Delta. You can play it in Dragon Link that have synergy with the driver to send it for one of the Red Eyes monsters. I forgot what the name of the one was, but they do play that for that. So I think it's like worth mentioning. Yeah. Whereas Herald of the Orange Light, I mean, Herald of the Orange Light is obviously good in specific decks. Like I didn't include it because it just feels so obvious to me that, of course, negating a monster and destroying it is very good if you're playing a lot of fairies. So if you're playing Melodious, then yeah, you're going to play the Herald. But it's not generic enough that it belongs in a discussion like this, I feel like. All right. And now we're talking board breakers and power spells and other things like that, which are in a tough position right now. Because like I mentioned earlier, if you're playing any of these cards, you're playing not a hand trap in that slot. And right now, hand traps have a very high priority because stopping these combo decks from comboing is kind of everything. So most of these are not going to be like good in a mix of some hand traps, some board breakers, most of them. So we're looking at these mostly through the perspective of how good are they in like a normal quote unquote deck where you play hand traps, and then would you is there maybe a card here that you would forego more hand traps for? And there are some here. The other ones are mostly going to be good in specific decks that play only board breakers. But let's start with some of the stars here. Of course, because it is such a hand trap heavy format, if you are playing a combo deck, Cult by the Grave and Crossout Designator are very, very high priority right now. Despite when you're going second, these cards are not going to feel great because they could be more hand traps and you might get comboed on, and Cult by is not going to be good enough to break a Snake Eye board. Shocker. Maxi and Molcharmi Fuvalos, and to an extent Dolan Lockbird and other hand traps are important enough to the point where every combo deck wants to play Cult by and Crossout. So very, very high priority cards that help you resolve your crazy turn one combos, which is probably why they shouldn't be allowed, but that's a different topic. They are pretty good right now. Another card that I think has high priority in the right deck for it is Forbidden Droplet. I would not advise you to play Forbidden Droplet in most decks, but in Tenpai specifically, this is one of the craziest cards. Like, no matter if you're playing Board Breaker Tenpai or Hand Trap Tenpai, I think Droplet is one of the scariest cards to go up against at the moment, because it's one of the few cards that can actually beat a full board, which is kind of like a common theme here with this tier list, right? As you can tell from the top ranks, it's only the cards that are like good enough on their own. Like, you don't need to draw them in multiples, but they are consistently good enough if you just draw one of them and resolve it, right? And that is why I think Droplet is up here, and I think that's going to be the only ones I really throw up in here. Like, for example, Triple Tactics Talents is a very solid card right now. People are playing a lot of hand traps. So if you're going first, Talents is often going to feel very powerful. Now, the problem is with Talents is that going second, most of the time, if your opponent does their thing, Talents is not strong enough to break it. And when you're going first, the problem with Talents, if you compare it to cards like Ash, Called By, or Crossout, is that it lets the opponent's monster card resolve and then Talents. So, like, if they have a Maxi or a Fuva, yeah, you can draw two cards. Yeah, you can look at their hand and maybe see how bad your situation is. But ultimately, that Maxi or Fuva has resolved. So you still can't really do anything about that. And so the card is not that good going second at the moment. Going first, there's other better options. It still is a powerful card, so I will keep it in solid. It is still solid. But I think a lot of these other cards have higher priority right now for most decks in the game. Lightning Storm. And other back row removal like Feather Duster, this also includes Heavy Storm. I just didn't bother putting Harpy's Feather Duster and Heavy Storm in the same thingy because they're basically the same thing. Pretty good in specific decks that blind second right now, I would say. Specifically board breaker only decks, like Tenpai, board breaker, Sky Striker version. Those cards are pretty powerful. I would not advise you to play them in any of the combo decks or anything like that because, once again, if you're not playing a full-on board breaker approach, these cards are not going to be strong enough. But in a full-on board breaker approach, they are pretty good, I think. And I suppose the same is true for cards like Thrust, Dark Ruler No More. Let's group the breakers together over here. If you're playing a breaker deck, I think Dark Ruler is pretty solid right now. I think Lightning Storm and Duster are pretty good. I think Thrust is pretty good. I think Ultimate Slayer is a very solid option as well. I think Raigeki and Dark Hole are a little mid, but they might still make the cut in a board breaker only deck because it's just an easy way to force an Omni Negate, and it also makes it so that you can get spells in the grave in the Sky Striker version. So I do think that's fine. The specific reason, because someone's asking that right now, Droplet I think is better than Dark Ruler because Droplet can dodge your opponent's Effect Veilers and Imperms, which is a very relevant thing when you're playing Tenpai, where like sometimes you go hand trap your opponent like crazy, and then you have like a Pydra, but they have an Imperm and you only have the Pydra because there's not actually that many Tenpai engine cards. So if you have Droplet there, not only can you stop maybe something they were still able to end on, like an SP pass or something, but you also force through your Pydra through their Veiler or Imperm, which I think is very, very valuable overall. Also, there is sometimes ways how the Snake Eye deck can negate the Dark Ruler No More, which they can also sometimes do with the Droplet, but it depends on the situation. Super Poly is not terrible right now. Probably towards the bottom of only good in specific decks. Like if you're playing a board breaker deck like Tier Limits and stuff like that, it's fine. If you're playing, yeah, basically just those kind of decks. You know, some stun decks play it just to get the board empty. I think it's fine. I don't love it. Cosmic Cyclone, pretty mid, pretty low impact at the moment. Unfortunately, not a format where Cosmic Cyclone is good enough. Like, there's obviously good targets for it, like the Snake Eyes Field spell, or when they're trying to summon IP Masquerena from the spell trap zone. You can banish Sequence from the Desiree, which is sometimes pretty neat to force through your other cards. Ultimately, though, it is a 1-for-1 trade against a deck that goes like +10 off of one card. So you're just not keeping up if you make those kind of trades. Evenly matched ultimately is overall mid at the moment. The problem is that the best going second deck cannot play it, which is Tenpai, because you want your battle phase. If there was a different blind second deck that was actually really strong right now, Evenly would probably be fine in it, because like you force the Omni Negate, which there's sometimes, depending on the version, there's just 2 Omni Negates, right? There's like an Azamina, Ilia, Sylvia, and the Desiree. Forcing those 2, then activating Evenly, and then still winning the game after is incredibly difficult. So I think it's like not a terrible card in the right deck for it, but I personally think it's a little bit, you need a little bit too much to make it work. Book of Moon is not impactful enough at the moment in the slightest. Book of Eclipse is slightly better because you can turn off Desiree, which is untargetable if it has a sequence under it. So I think this is mostly a fine bait for Omni Negates in those matchups. I don't hate it completely. It's not nearly as bad as Book of Moon. So Book of Eclipse has some things going for it, but it's not great. Change of Heart, personally, I think, actually this is also done here. I think Change of Heart is very, and Change of Heart also stands for other, you know, let me steal your thing, like Mind Control or Snatch Steal or whatever. Because Change of Heart is just the best one, so I'm using that as like the poster for the category. But I think Change of Heart is not great right now. Might even be down here, because like the Desiree is not targetable, which is the thing that you care about the most. And yeah. Lava Golem and Sphere Mode are what we're finishing with. I'm going to put these at the bottom of this category because right now I cannot think of a deck that can really use those cards. In a hypothetical world where you could use those cards in your deck and you don't care about it, they are not bad. Especially Sphere Mode is like one of the cards that could be good enough on its own if you play the right deck for it. Maybe Exodia could fit them in where you just like Sphere Mode like the Desiree, the Appaloosa, and whatever else you care about, and then like set your floodgates or whatever. Maybe, you know, that's why I'm saying like in the right deck they could be all right. But most decks at the moment can't play them, so they're not like better than that. And that's basically where we're at with Master Duel right now. I hope this helps people prepare for the Duelist Cup. I feel like I am somewhat just reciting the obvious here, but I still wanted to give my impression of where these cards are at the moment. Of course, it is very clear that the focus right now is on hand traps, right? I think the overarching like consensus on this format is that when these decks pop off, they are pretty much unbeatable. So the main focus for everybody is just on preventing them from doing that. I think that is the like the main thing right now in Master Duel. Nonetheless, let me know what you think of the list. Let me think if I'm underrating or overrating a certain card, and tell me what you're gonna do in the upcoming second stage. Are you gonna try hard or just play for fun? And what decks are you playing and which of these cards are you using? All that good stuff. Hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys next time, and good luck in your Duelist Cups. All right. We do need to get some YouTube content out here. That cannot be neglected. Dark Ruler is so cracked. Dark Ruler is pretty good. It's just the problem with specifically Dark Ruler and Droplet is if there was more cards like Dark Ruler and Droplet, I would say like, sure, let's play a board breaker deck. But there's just simply not enough. So like, what if I'm playing a deck with board breakers and I just don't see my Dark Ruler, or I don't see my Droplet, and then I'm just like, well, you know, I'm gonna be cringe mainstream and go with Blue Eyes Bestial. That's not cringe. That deck's fun. That deck's cool. Based. What about deck lockdown? I typically don't rate floodgates in these because the situation of floodgates is always pretty damn clear. You go first, you activate deck lockdown is going to be good. You go first, you activate dimensional fissure is going to be good. Like, I don't have to tell you that. That is not something you need advice on, you know? Just win the coin toss, activate continuous card, and be proud of yourself. Like, that's not something I have to rank. It's like, hey, Josh, how good is Pachycephalo right now? Like, yeah, okay. What about Singularity Fiend? I think Singularity Fiend is an interesting card, but I can't think of a deck that wants to use it. Because I think that card can only be used in a deck that wants to discard spells to the graveyard, which I don't think there is one right now. Okay. Next thing we're going to do, which I wanted to do this specifically in this order because this is going to save us a lot of time in the upcoming segment. Because I let my Twitch subscribers and Patreons submit their Master Duel deck lists for the second stage of the Duelist Cup, because that is part of their perks as a Twitch subscriber or Patreon, to be able to take part in some deck doctoring. And so that's why I wanted to get this, like, you know, hand trap tier list out of the way, because I don't want to reiterate over this a billion times if I'm telling people like, hey, you should take out your talents for Ghost Ogre because we've discussed earlier. You know, like, that's the kind of thing we're going to do now. I think we have enough time to get everyone that submitted a deck through here, but we're going to see. If the decks at some point start getting a little repetitive, we might you know, move to the next one, but we are going to start with a submission from Yushiro. Let me see what side is better. Left side is better. Okay. So we're going to start with a submission from Yushiro called Negate the Deck, which is Centurion White Forest with a Crystal Beast Sapphire Pegasus in there for the Rainbow Bridge of Salvation. Yeah. So let me take a quick look at this. Okay, first of all, there's 2 Sapphire Pegasus. Pegasuses? I don't know. Which is interesting. I don't know if you need to. Other than that, this deck, let me see what they wrote, because I gave people a... okay, I'm currently between 2 decks, but I'm definitely playing Synchro, because to me, it's the most fun as of right now. I'm thinking in cutting down some cards from both and change some hand traps that'll stop Snake Eyes Fiendsmith better. The 51 card deck so far feels like a lot of extenders and a lot of searching, but because it's very weak to Droll and Lockbird, so is the other deck, and I might change to another deck that can play through it if I keep getting hit by that card. Either that or play Cross Out and 2 Drolls for a chance of drawing the out. I know my decks seem like they were built by a psychopath. Hopefully you can give me an idea on what changes I could make to them and see if they feel better overall. I mean, I wouldn't put it like that. I think your decks are just very heavily focused on going first, instead of balancing it out between going first and going second. This is the other one, by the way. The other one is a more streamlined 40 card Azamina Toy White Forest deck. So in order to just help you with some of the questions you had, you're trying to cut some cards, which I would personally just suggest. You don't need this many different trap cards. All right, you don't need 2 Woes, Morian, Aphies, whatever it's called, and whatever this one. I don't even know what this one's called. I think Subdual. So I don't think you need all of those. I think 1 Woes is definitely enough if you already play all those trap cards. I think you could also consider cutting the Azamina one. I think you can definitely cut 1 Sapphire Pegasus. In general, if you're going to play a deck like this one, you're going to have to be prepared to basically lose going second almost all the time, because realistically, the only way I see you win a game going second against Snake Eye decks with this is by having Maxi. That's legitimately the only thing you have that's going to consistently make you win going second. At which point, you're going to have to ask yourself the question, should I be playing Centurion cards in this deck? Do the Centurion cards really provide something to the White Forest strategy? So I personally think if you're deciding between those 2 decks, I would highly recommend playing the Azamina White Forest deck with some toys that you've sent as your second deck with just less cards. And I do think you should also prioritize the Molcharmi Fuvalos, like I said in the hand trap tier list earlier. So I really like Droplet in this because it has great synergy with the toy cards. So this is one of the decks where I think it would be okay to play like Maxi, Fuva, Ash, and Droplet as your non-engine. And then Droll for Crossout, I think is also fair enough. So my suggestion for this deck would be take out 1 Droll, take out Talents, maybe take out 1 of the trap cards, whichever one you prefer. Because I don't think you need 4 different trap cards and the fusion spell. And then add 3 Fuvas. And that's, I think at that point, your deck is still... like, you have a fair win condition going second. You're playing 40 cards. You got 3 Fuva, 2 Maxi, a Droll. That's like... and Droplet. That's realistic that you can actually win going second. So that's what I would do between those 2. Yeah. All right, next up, we have a deck that I like a lot. And that is Melodious by Agora. They said, to be honest, I don't know what I should play. I have Snake Eyes Fiendsmith built, but I really don't want to play it. I've been having the most success with Melodious so far. Don't know how to feel about it. The deck just dies under Maxi and Fuva. I don't know about Orange Light, to be honest. Obviously, the card is strong, but it's conditional. And if I take them out, I could play 6 other hand traps instead, since I could go down on the Melodious count. Area seems pretty good right now. I even thought about putting Elegy in too. Any help is appreciated. So, Melodious is a pretty base deck, but you are right in the assessment that this deck is pretty horrible into Maxi and Fuba, which is also why I think the Herald of the Orange Light is unfortunately something you have to do when you're playing this deck. Like, I think, as much as it feels like an overcommitment sometimes to discard 2 cards from your hand to stop 1, I think that is one of the few things that sets this deck apart from other decks, is the ability to play Herald of the Orange Light. Because that basically makes it so this deck has more outs to Maxi and Fuba than others. Another approach that you could maybe take, that you have to, like, you'd have to experiment with it, but what if you played Droll and Lockbird in this, which functions as a very good hand trap when you're going second, but also, I don't think this deck is that bad if you Droll and Lockbird yourself after like 1 or 2 draws under Maxi or Fuba. I feel like this is one of the decks where you could do that. Like, you know, get your Concerto Search and then just Droll. And then, like, the only thing you'd be missing out on would be your Concerto draw later on. I think that'd be reasonable. I think this is one of the decks that can easily Droll itself. So I think if you want to play without Orange Light, but you still want enough answers for Maxi and Fuva, maybe try that. Unironically, I think you could also run a more high risk, high reward kind of approach to it, where you keep the Orange Light and you just cut some fairies for Droll, which gives you a higher chance of drawing dead Orange Lights, but it also still gives you Droll and Lockbird access, and sometimes the Orange Light, you know, it's like you could cut like the Cannon, honestly, or Cannon, I think is not good, period, right now. I don't think you need that. Like, you can easily cut 2 Cannon and 1 Sonata for Droll and Lockbirds. And if you then find that your Herald of Orange Lights are not good enough anymore, then you might want to cut those as well for a different hand trap, which could be like more Ghost Ogres or Effect Veilers. I wouldn't hate in this one. Unfortunately, this deck cannot play Retaliating Sea or Nibiru because it needs an empty board. But that's how I would do it. Generally, I don't think Melodious is in a terrible spot right now. It is definitely a rogue deck, and you are fighting an uphill battle if you're trying to climb with it in the second stage. But I think it is among the better rogue decks, generally. No Agent Link 2 for skill drain. There's like small things in the extra deck that you could change. Yeah, I don't think the this Bloom Diva, I think is what it's called. I don't think that one is 100% necessary. 3 Schubertas I personally have never needed. It was always 2 for me when I played the deck. So if you want to get some more utility in here, you can. Like, I think Typhon comes up sometimes. I think Typhon and the Agent Link 2 are pretty solid options instead of like a Schuberta and the Bloom Diva maybe. I did also play 2 Etoile, I think. Because like Kashtira Unicorn is a thing. Yeah. I always thought that one of the Link might just be enough, because if that resolves, you never need a second one, and if it gets stopped, you usually lose the game. So like, I don't know if you need 2 of the Link. No Ava. I'm not a huge fan of Ava in this deck. I agree with not playing Ava. All right. We've got another deck that I've played a lot of, so we can give some input in. We have Fiendsmith, Kashtira, the Master Duel version. Now, I'll say it up front, this deck is based, but whenever I look at it in Master Duel, it just makes me sad. And the reason why it makes me sad is because it is so much worse without Necroquip Princess and without the main deck Lacrima. It is like so weird. Personally, this is just a take on these decks have been floating around, you know, like the very high hand trap count decks is something that people are experimenting with at the moment, and I think there is some value to this sort of concept. I also think DPE is like very powerful in this concept, even though it is a double-edged sword. You know, if you draw Celestial or Dasher, that could completely ruin your entire game plan, because now you have a dead card in your hand and you're not going to be able to trade efficiently enough because you don't have enough cards. Personally, I felt like a deck like this was fine, but I had personally better success with the non-Fiendsmith version. Like the one that was just literally just hand traps and bestials. Like that was the one that I had the most success with. Like the Iperia Capshell kind of thing. As weird as it may sound, as much as you might think that's not a real deck, for me, if I was just playing against Snake Eyes and stuff, that is the one that worked best for me. So I thought that was neat. That's a blind second deck though, and I think this deck wants to go first, which is also why there's Kashtira cards in here. So I kind of like see the concept here. I personally think for a 50 card deck, this does not even seem good enough going second. Like I'm thinking like, yeah, this is a shit ton of hand traps, but in a 50 card deck, 6, 16, 21, 24, 27, if you count the bestials as full-on hand traps, is like, it sounds like a lot, but it's half of your deck, which also sounds like a lot. But if you think about that from like a opening hand perspective, half of your deck being hand traps means like on average, half of your opening hand is going to be hand traps, which is slightly like your average is about 2.5, which if you're hitting 3 hand traps, you're going to feel good about yourself. If you're hitting 2, you're not going to feel great. Like if this deck opens like 2 hand traps, a Cyber's Gadget, a Fiendsmith Engraver, and a Dotscaper or something, which is like, I would say, all things considered, a pretty solid hand, I don't think that's winning most of the time. And I think that's a problem. If your average hand is not super winning going second, then that's weird. Because you are going to be playing 50 cards, so you have a smaller chance of drawing the high impact ones, right? Like this deck has the same amount of Droll, Maxi, and Fuva as a 40 card deck. So I don't know. I thought it was better to just play blind second. Don't play the Kashtiras. Don't play the Fiendsmith combos, because honestly, I don't think they're good enough in this concept. Even though they're not bad, but yeah, I don't know. I also think this deck should be playing 2 Fiendsmith tracked. If you are playing a deck like this and you're trying to play the longer game, I think there should be 2 tracked. Is it that bad opening Fusion Destiny? No, drawing Fusion Destiny is very good in this deck. Drawing Fusion Destiny is pretty good. But yeah, I mean, I can just for context, I guess I do think that is appropriate here. I can show you what I've been messing around with, because I don't mind sharing that sort of stuff. So there has been, this one is still pretty much empty, the Bestial Control one. I was going to try and build a Bestial Control deck to try and see where that would go. But essentially, I have this one, which was the one that we used on stream like a week and a half ago. I added Fusion Destiny to it after we played around with it, but this is basically the concept. With the ton of Bestials. Basically, the idea of this deck is you blind second and you just try to draw an answer for all of their lines of play, right? Like you're trying to draw an answer to the Fiendsmith lines with a Bestial. You're trying to draw an answer to like their normal summon with like Valor, Imperm, Ash, whatever. And you're trying to draw like 1 extra hand trap for a potential Dia Bellstar extender or whatever with like, you know, Mourner, more Valor, Imperm. You have Retaliating, you have Ghost Ogre for like Millennium cards and stuff like that. Like you're just trying to have more answers than they have plays, essentially, is the idea of this deck. Which I think only works out if you full commit to it. And when you're playing this, you're not full committing to it, because you have a lot of cards in here that are not answers. You know, going second, Fiendsmith is not an answer, Cyber's Gadget is not an answer, Dotscaper is not an answer, Kashtira cards are not answers. Like you're just too low on answers. And you're also simultaneously, because you go first, you still have to be worried about Fuva and stuff like that yourself, because your deck is actually not good into Fuva because Fiendsmith. So you still play cards like Called by and Crossout and stuff, which are not good when you're going second. So I overall think this deck is just not good enough going second, which is funny because it has 27 hand traps. But I think that sort of concept you need to really lean into for it to be good. What's better, 1 or 2 Nibiru's? It depends on your deck. I don't think too many Nibiru's is great. Yeah. All right, next up, we have Dragonsmith submitted by Higher Ground. Been playing this deck ever since Fiendsmith came out, and it's a lot of fun. Unfortunately, it feels like it's missing something since Lacrima is not out, and the Fiendsmith engine is there just to be there. The original idea was to go first and make a mid-range board supported with hand traps with Tenpai for follow-up, but it feels like the deck is just better going second thanks to the power of Unga Bunga Tenpai OTK. Yeah. This is another instance where Fiendsmith Tenpai is a deck in the TCG at the moment, in case you don't know, in case you just play Master Duel. Tenpai Fiendsmith is a pretty solid deck in the TCG, and it doesn't even blind second. It just basically combines like Fiendsmith cards with some Bestials and Tenpai as a solid normal summon that makes a 1-card seals and gives you some extra sealing when you're going second. In Master Duel, this concept I don't think is very good. If you want to play Fiendsmith in Tenpai, I think that's not bad. Because Fiendsmith, as weird as it sounds, Fiendsmith is a consistency card for Tenpai. Because it gives you access to Chundra or Pydra without your normal summon. So guess what? If you hand trap your opponent and you summon Pydra and they imperm it, if you have Engraver, you can still kill. And so Engraver is both a starter and an extender, which is pretty valuable, I think. So I think there is a realistic chance that a good version of Tenpai just plays the Fiendsmith cards as more copies of starters and extenders. What I would do in that case is I would blind second, and I wouldn't play any like cashed hero cards or anything like that. Like I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't play the cashed hero cards. I don't know if I would play Called by the Grave in it. As a counter to Ash Blossom, it might be fine, but basically just whole bunch of hand traps, Fiendsmith engine, Tenpai engine, blind second, and withdraw. I think that is viable. I've played against those sort of decks, and sometimes the Fiendsmith Engraver was the card that made the difference because I had like imperm for their normal summon, but I didn't have a second non-engine to counter whatever they were doing then, right? So that is something that you could consider. Of course, it comes with a cost because Tract and Lurie alone are pretty bad draws. They won't combo for you on their own, so that's like, but like the Engraver is a pretty good card in that concept. It's kind of like you can do that, or you could play Gold Sarcophagus and Blaster, which is also an extender, which is maybe better. Whereas the Engraver does give you better grind game in case you ever enter one with Tenpai, which, you know, word on the street, sometimes that happens. Sometimes you end up in a grind game with that, and then like Gold Sarcophagus for Blaster is not as good as like Fiendsmith stuff, but yeah. Okay, next up we have another version of the hand trap deck, which I think at this point, I hope you're not too disappointed that I'm kind of skipping over it, because we've talked about this exact concept like 5 minutes ago. So I mean, yeah, it's the same deck. You're just some contras are different, but I think we've talked about why, what I like about this and what I dislike about it. Okay, next up we have some interesting brews from Luke BFTW, which is they've sent two separate versions of Orchest, Millennium Orchest, or just Azamina Orchest. This is Azamina Millennium Orchest, and this is just Azamina Orchest. First of all, based. Both Millennium and Azamina can bridge you into Orchest via Mermaid. If you open Harp or Nightmare, you can either send them to your grave for cost with Witch or the Azamina stuff, or put them on your field with Temple and get them into the grave with Doom Dragon. You know what? That sounds like a very fun concept. That sounds like a very, very fun concept. The fact that you go like Deception, Tribute, Harp Horror, or Diabellstar, send Harp Horror, or put them in the Spell Trap Zone, send them for Doom Dragon. I like it. I feel like you've cooked. Whether the deck is good enough or not, unfortunately, I can't say. But I feel like you've done a lot of things right here. You know, yeah, like you're playing the Fuva and the Maxis. Obviously, you're playing the Droplet in this one, which is pretty cool. I think I have very little changes that I would suggest for your 40 card main decks, because they look pretty solid to me. I feel like you've done a lot of things right here. Of course, I could be telling you right now, hey, this is just a worse combo deck than a Snake Eye deck. But I assume you know that, and I assume you want to play this because you like Orcust, at which point I'm not going to tell you not to play Orcust. That'd be weird. That'd be a weird deck, Doctor, if I looked at your Orcust deck and said, like, hey, why don't you play Snake Eyes? So I'm just going to compare these two with each other and think about which one I would recommend you to play between these two. Because I think they're both solid lists in their own right. I'm just trying to spot the differences and see. Because, like, this one does not have Droplet, but it has the Millennium engine. At which point you have to ask yourself the question, what's more valuable? Millennium going first or Droplet going second? Because when you do go first with this one, you might end up not having, you might end up not having enough plays, right? Because this one, how does this deck combo, right? You have to open Girsu, Deception, Diabellstar, Return or Foolish, or Wanted, I guess, which is like 12, which is not terrible, but also not that much. So I think I'm leaning towards play the extra oomph from the Millennium cards, because that synergy seems pretty neat with the Yugioh Temple, sending your Orcust into the graveyard with Doomed Dragon. I kind of like that, to be honest with you. I kind of like that. I think this one is the way to go. I think this one is the way to go. Maybe consider Droll Lockbird over Imperm. If you ever find yourselves in situations where very often going second you have Imperm but it's not enough, then maybe try Droll Lockbird instead. Yeah. Also, you might want a zombie vampire for the Millennium cards because you're playing Orcust and those mills would be pretty juicy sometimes, but I also don't know what to cut. I think the Dark Charmer is most likely the one that can be cut. It's not that important right now to have Dark, I think. You are playing Diabellstar yourself, though, so you could be stealing opponents' Diabellstar to set Deception, which is neat. But yeah. I like this concept. It seems fun. All right. Jesus, that's small. Okay. Well, we're gonna have to deal with some pixelated stuff here. It'd be like that. Your box standard Super Poly Millennium shenanigans. Droll has been super clutch in ladder, so I'm hoping it'll just have as much value in the Duelist Cup. My question is, should I take the Floodgate pill and run Dimensional Fissure? Is my non-engine selection fine? Anything in the extra deck look wrong? Always happy to have a second opinion. See, you're doing something interesting here. You're calling it standard. But your deck does not have floodgates, which is not standard. The first thing that everyone in chat has already spotted is where the hell is Maxi? Okay, like I'm sure you just forgot, right? You just threw this together and submitted it, and you forgot to put in Maxi, which that should be in here. I'm gonna be honest with you. And I'll hit you with another hot take right now. I'll hit you with another hot take that Exodia players will not like to hear. I think if you're looking for the highest chance of actually performing with Exodia, I think no floodgates is the way to go. I know this sounds crazy to everyone who is so used to just flipping Macrocosmos and having the opponent explode. I know that feels good, but I think an Exodia deck that plays too many floodgates is just going to be too bad going second. I think if you are a capable player and you go first with Exodia and you go and open Unstoppable Exodia Incarnate, Exod Fires of Rage, and 1 or 2 non-engine cards like hand traps, if you use those cards correctly, I see no reason why that shouldn't be enough most of the time. Like, yes, sometimes a very good Snake Eyes hand will overwhelm you, but if you use your interactions right with like imperms and so on and so forth, I think you're good. So what I would do though, what I would highly recommend is I don't agree with the non-engine choice here. I don't agree with Nibiru at 3 when you're not even playing Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit or Veiler. Another card that I find incredibly, maybe it's just because I find it funny and hilarious that you can't do that, but I think Retaliating Sea has a pretty good spot in this deck, because if you place Retaliating Sea with Yugioh Temple and then send it for Doomed Dragon, you can search Maxi, which is pretty broken sometimes. I do not think Triple Tactics Talents belongs in this deck, to be honest with you. Most, like, maybe a one-of or something, but I don't think... Nibiru, Talents, and Super Poly are the ones that I'm wondering whether they should be here. I think I would change those for Max C, Ghost Ogre, Retaliating C kind of thing. Maybe a second Wedju Temple. And then call it a day. Yeah. That's how I would do it. Your extra deck seems fine. This deck does not need much of its extra deck. If you cut the Super Poly, one nice thing, you can actually play Extravagance, which I think is neat. But if you just like Super Poly, then I don't have an issue with you playing it like either. I think it's fine to play Super Poly. I think it's better to play hand traps though, generally. But yeah, I personally think you're not crazy for not playing Floodgates in this. Super Poly is clutch into Tenpai in my experience. Super Poly is good into Tenpai. You're not wrong. It has pros and cons to it. I'm not saying it's a strictly terrible card right now, because it's not. Dinomorphia. Submitted by someone who has a very, very big fable for the number 2, apparently. 2 Veiler, 2 Wannabe, 2 Lilith, 2 Fossil Dig for 2 Ferret Flames, 2, 3, okay, 2 of this. Now, here's my problem. I have some respect for Dinomorphia in Master Duel right now. Or like, maybe not right now, but like in general, I don't think Dinomorphia is like a terrible deck. All things considered though, I think there's 2 things that I find scary when it comes to Dinomorphia. The first thing is going second. Which at this point, no one here right now can tell me that this deck is good going second when it's 50 cards with 2 Maxi, no Mulch Armies, and it's like 3 Imperm, 3 Ash, and 2 Veilers other than that, and 1 Nip. Like, there's no way this deck is good going second. Which is an issue that you could only fix by making it way closer to 40 and like just maximizing your chances of drawing like Maxi, right? The other problem, I think, is Lacrima the Crimson Tears. Wait, no, that's the wrong one. The Fiendsmith Lacrima, of course. The burn effect, right, is a problem. So, I personally think you should make this deck 40 cards for consistency's sake. I think cut the Supreme King Zark package. I think it's Cope. I think cut Big Welcome and Lady Labyrinth. I think definitely play 3 Solemn Judgment before you even touch Iron Thunder. Solemn Judgment is better than Iron Thunder every time. Called by the Grave, I think is a need card, but I don't think you can afford the luxury of trying to play around Ash Blossom in that way. I think just play a 3rd copy of the other Dinomorphia trap and cut the called buys. I think if you're going down to 40 cards, you might want to play like 1 less Fossil Dig or something. The 1 of Nibiru does not make sense in this deck. It does not have enough hand traps to back it up. Veiler is fine. But yeah. So that's, I think I've already suggested enough changes to make it very close to 50. But I also, like, I will say, take it with a grain of salt, because I have never taken the time to optimize Dinomorphia. In Master Duel. The other thing is, this deck should probably have Destructive Daruma Karmic Cannon, right? Am I crazy? Am I crazy for thinking that you need Destructive Daruma Karmic Cannon? Because I think going second with this deck, your win con is probably either draw Max C or just set 5 and hope it works out. Right? So, like, you should probably cut the Wannabe, cut the Veiler, cut the Nib, cut the Labyrinth stuff, cut the Supreme King. Just play, like, 3 Darumas, 3 strikes and something, so that you have a plan when you go second. Like, just set 5. Yeah. And once again, this is not me saying this is guaranteed to be better. This is just how I would try it if I were to try and make it work. the concept of Dynamorphia. Okay, this one is a story in 2 parts because they took mobile screenshots. I'm a mobile gamer, but I'll give you pure bestial. I haven't crafted all the URs yet because I'm stuck at work and just started my break. Okay. You are bestial. But I mean, pure bestial is basically just hand trap control, right? So this is just the hand trap control deck, but you're playing like Ecclesia and Sword Soul as tuners, which is not the worst idea, to be honest with you. I don't hate that. I don't hate playing, instead of like Hyperia and stuff, I don't hate playing a small tuner engine in that deck. Not opposed to it. I have no idea what Santa Claus is doing here. No idea why that's here. Talents should not be here. There should be more hand traps. Book of Eclipse should not be here. There should be more hand traps. Branded Regained, as much as I love that card, is at maximum a 2 of. A 2 of I can get behind. 1 of probably preferred. 2 of okay. 3 of no shot. But yeah, at this point, just play hand trap control with bestials, and if you want to add a tuner engine to it, which is fine. Ooh. Haven't played since the last Duelist Cup, but surely this will work. Don't have a clue which non-engine to play. Just Ritual Beast, huh? I feel like this deck at this point is relatively standard. It is interesting. Is that Eschatos instead of Protoss? That is Eschatos, right? That does look like Eschatos. So, walk me through why Eschatos over Protoss. And don't say it's because it's Royal. I mean, I would kind of understand. 14 extra deck? Yeah, I'm sure they're aware. Isn't Protoss banned? I don't think this deck should be on Book of Eclipse and Talents. I think you should change those for a Crossout Designator and 3 Droll and Lockbirds. And maybe play like 1 Talons or something if you want to. And then the other thing is that I'm not sure if Eschatos is the way to go. Because I think in this current format, you're in this very weird situation where you don't know exactly what you should call with them, right? Because you're playing against White Forest, Snake Eyes, and Tenpai, I think is the big 3, right? So, like, what do you call? If you call Fiend, which you can with this deck, I think, it was cool for Tenpai. Yeah, I think right now, low-key, the better way to play this deck is to make Colossus. Which is not a base suggestion I'm making. I'm just telling you to change the Arc Nemesis Floodgate for the Colossus Floodgate. It's not like I'm being base right now or anything like that, but I do think that is better. Because that gives you value in every matchup and you don't have to guess, right? That's all I got for Ritual Beast. Like, everything else here is very, very standard for Ritual Beast. I think I would switch the non-engine around to more hand traps, and I would play the Colossus package over Arc Nemesis. We've got Yubel. Okay, how would I play Yubel in Master Duel at the moment? I would play 3 Fuvas, I can tell you that much. I would definitely play 3 Fuvas. I would cut some Bestials for that. I think playing like 1 Magna, 1 Druid is fine if you want to, but I would never sacrifice. I think Yubel is the kind of deck that, once again, is not good enough going second, so it needs to play Fuva, Maxi, Droll. And then also Ash to out opponents' Fuvas and Maxis. Like, that should be your priority order right now. So, like, take out them Bestials. Maybe even take out 1 Nightmare Pain. Take out Talents. Maybe play 1 if you want to. And play, like, Droll, second and third Fuva. I think that is way too important in Yubel. And try to get it as close to 40 as you can to maximize your odds of seeing those cards. Yeah. So it's like, what is it? +3 Droll, +2 Fuva, that's +5 cards. We're taking out 3 Bestials, 1 Talents. Take out 2 Talents, 1 Nightmare Pain, 1 Piri Rise map, and we're making it like 41. Maybe 40 by cutting another Piri Rise map. Right? I mean, at that point, it's a little up to you. You can keep the 2 Bestials and still play 43. You can play like the Rise maps and play 42, depending on that. But I would definitely prioritize Droll and Fuva. Don't you think the Millennium version of Yubel is better? That I actually have not even seen yet. I've seen people use Millennium in White Forest and Snake Eye. I have not run into a Yubel Millennium. So I can't really say anything about that. No Caesar is a little crazy, but the extra deck is tight. No Caesar is crazy at the same time. I'm looking at this and there's nothing you can cut. Except for maybe Almirage. But Almirage can sometimes come up. So that, I mean, Almirage or Caesar, I guess, is your decision. All right, we got Chimera over here. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. That's a clean list. That's a clean list. I'm not gonna have much for you to change here. I like what you've done. We've got the priorities right. You know, we've got the 3 Drolls, we've got the 3 Fuvas, we've got the 2 Maxis. We're relatively close to 40 cards. We're playing Fiendsmith as a package with the evil heroes. We are not playing Tracked on Lurie, where it's just Fiendsmith to pivot into, which I think is fine. The one of Nibiru, I personally don't think makes sense here, because you don't play any of the hand traps that are really good with Nibiru. Like, if you're gonna Fuva your opponent, they're just not gonna play into it. I suppose it might be a one-of that you like. Maybe it's like a comfortable, maybe it's like a comfort pick where you really like having 1 Nibiru in your deck in case your Maxi resolves and your opponent pushes into it, which I think is fine. I think that is something you can do. So if that's your reasoning, then I'm okay with it. But yeah. 2 Sword Knight is a little risky, but I kind of get it. I kind of understand. No, I like this. I don't think this is a bad approach at all for Chimera. I do think ultimately this deck is a little less consistent than White Forest and Snake Eyes. But I do like this deck. I think it's quite powerful. Why Tau? Tau is pretty good in a lot of lines, I think. Like, at least, I mean, I haven't played it this much this season since Fiendsmith came out. But before Fiendsmith, I made a lot of use of Tau in different situations. Also, does this deck maybe want Aerial Eater? Is that something you ever want to make with Chimera Fusion? Probably not. It's probably fine without Aerial Eater in this one. I mean, sequence into Aerial Eater can be okay too sometimes. I don't know. Maybe. Triple Mirror Sword and 2 Fusion personally for me. I really like 3 Chimera Fusion. I really like 3 Chimera Fusion. You make Duke of Demise. Oh yeah, Duke of Demise is a cool card. You should play that one. I like Duke of Demise. What do you cut for Duke of Demise though? Maybe the Mo Regina package? I don't know. Maybe the Cross Sheep? I don't know if you need that in some lines though. Cut Azamina. You could restructure it in a way where you just play Fiendsmith Chimera and then you have some extra deck room and you can play like the Duke. Maybe that's also a possibility. That's worth bringing up, yeah. Probably Cross Sheep then, though, for now. I do think Duke of Demise is a neat option. I like it. I do like it. Oh, hold up. Decided on branded synchro for the Duelist Cup. Could be playing standard branded Despia, but if I'm gonna try and grind this event, I want to at least be somewhat fun. Not 100% sure on if I want to play Light and Darkness Dragon over Sanctifier SP Albalenitis. I mean, you're calling it synchro branded. Your deck has 2 synchros in it right now. I'm letting you know that is not sufficient to call a deck synchro branded. That's not a thing. I'm gonna stop you right there and tell you this is still branded. Even though it does look cool. This is the second time today that someone has submitted Uva but no Maxi. Am I missing something? Am I missing something with that? Is there some technology I have not been told about? Uva for branded in high spirits. Winged Beast can reveal. What is Winged Beast? Rindbrum? Okay. Sure. Still, you should be playing Maxi. What is the idea behind Gizmek Uka? What's the idea behind Gizmek Uka? Counters Fiendsmith? Gizmek Uka. So if a monster is special summoned from the main deck, you can special summon this card from your hand. If this card is normal or special, you can target a Fate Summon monster your opponent controls, special summon a monster from hand or deck whose attack equals its own defense with the same attribute. Okay, so your opponent goes Requiem. Requiem into Engraver, you special Uka, you target Engraver, and you get to special a light monster with same attack and defense from your deck, which is Quem or Cartesia. Sure. Oh, Ecclesia as well. Right, I missed the one of Ecclesia at the top that we can then tribute to summon out Albaz, discard 1 and fuse with their stuff. Sure. It's kind of cute. It's kind of cute. I don't hate it. You should still, I mean, you should still put Maxi in your deck. It's a fun twist. I'm not going to tell you to play standard branded if clearly this is what you want to be playing. So it seems fun. But please, for the love of God, add Maxi. Oh God. Oh no, I was afraid this was gonna happen. I was afraid this was gonna happen because I don't know what to tell you. Tachyon. Now, I actually want to make a stream happen where I try and learn this deck. That stream has not happened yet. So for now, all I got for you is, for the most part, the ratios look pretty solid here. I would advise you to cut the Nibiru or maybe Molcharmies. As well as like Talons at 2 seems kind of off. As far as your engine pieces, I got no idea whether that's all you need, whether something of that is unnecessary. That is not something I'm gonna like try and tell you right now. Other than that, it seems pretty fine. You know, got a decent amount of non-engine small bestial package in there, which I like. Safer, it seems like a cracked normal summon in this deck when you can add Cloud Dragon with it. So I kind of like it. We did lose a game earlier where, because my opponent played 3 of the counter traps. I don't know if that's ever a consideration, but 2 might just be enough, you know. I will try this deck at some point next week, I think. So like maybe check back when we did that. Because right now I can't really help you much with it. Okay. I feel like we've talked about most meta relevant things. We are kind of drifting into the department of decks that are very, very niche, and probably not super relevant for Duelist Cup second stage. I am proud no one has submitted Snake Eyes though. I'm proud of you guys. That being said, that is going to be it for the deck doctor. That was the last deck that people have submitted. Once again, this is something that you get to do regularly for all the Twitch subscribers and all the tier 2 or higher Patreons. So I'm still trying to work on the concept, but I hope I could at least help some of you guys. Of course, I don't know everything about every single deck, but I think we did have some pretty cool decks today. So yeah. Yeah, no one did submit Blue Eyes, but I can, if you are interested, I can show you, or we can talk about Blue Eyes for a moment. Because I do have like some thoughts about Blue Eyes. This was what I played yesterday. I thought Nibiru was okay, but I would probably make it a one-of. I really liked the Ultimate Fusion. I think Mathematician should be a Piri Rise map. Probably. A little worse into Droll and Lockbird. And then I think this deck might want to play Droll and Lockbird itself. And then I want to make it 40 for consistency's sake. Cut that. Maybe I take out the Rise map again. And I kind of like the extra starters. I really like the extra starters. Maybe cut that. I don't like Rise map. I mean, I don't really love it either, but I do think opening with one of your normal summons just makes this deck so much better. So this deck, I played Fuba in when I played it on stream for the first time, and then I noticed like a lot of the times, like yeah, you can discard Fuba for wishes, but you already have a couple of other cards that you like to discard for wishes, like True Light or Blue Eyes White Dragon or something like that. So very often you'll have hands where you have multiple bad cards and you can't discard all of them for value. And that was annoying. The other part is this deck's end board, especially if you get hand trapped, can be super, super weak. So all I wanted for this deck in particular, I wanted all my non-engine to be live at all times. Like, that is something I definitely wanted. But yeah, I don't know. You could cut this and make it 40 for now. It's probably the most consistent going second win con to not play more than 40 and just play all the good hand traps. You could play Fuva in this over like a Ghost Ogre or 2 Ghost Ogres and a Veiler or something. I don't think that's terrible either. But yeah, this is roughly what I would do with Blue Eyes. You know, since we're done with the deck doctor, we can actually jam a game or two with Blue Eyes. I don't mind. I like the deck. It's fun. Let's play ranked. Still not in master. Ended up not liking Jet. I said this yesterday already. I don't hate Jet. It has just never mattered that I played it. Whenever I played it, it did not really come up. Planning to play Blue Eyes at UK Open this weekend. Not sure how the list looks. Torn between 40 or 48. I started with higher deck counts in Blue Eyes. The more I played though, the more I felt like I absolutely needed the consistency. So I moved away from 48 or whatever. Disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. So they lost basically their entire hand to a Ghost Ogre Magnamood combo. Oh my god. Oh my god. How many ogres? I think it was 3. That was quite something. If I reach level max in the event, I don't drop. What do you mean you don't drop? Oh my god, both Blue Eyes? Both Blue Eyes. That is not good. All right, Joel and Lockbird, do your thing. Do your thing. It's not gonna do his thing, guys. It's not enough. You Bell cannot be stopped. You are probably cooked. Pain is useless. I know, but look at my hand. They don't need to go full combo to win this. Why is Snake Eyes since 1 year or more meta number 1 deck? Yeah, I'll forward your question, but I don't have the answer. I'm not entirely sure why we're not summoning a second Phantom, but... The thing is, at this rate, we cannot even beat... If they go Phantom Pass now, which is like best case scenario for us, we still can't beat it. Do you have the Royal Blue Eyes? I do, but I hate playing 2 different artworks of a card. So if I play 2 Blue Eyes in this deck, I play 2 of the same ones. The other one I only have 1 of. One way to fix that? Actually not. There's actually no way to fix that because you cannot craft the structure deck, the starter deck artwork for Blue Eyes. It's not possible. So even if I wanted to, I couldn't fix it. Not winnable. I mean, they're not gonna let me do this. And now look at my hand. 2 Blue Eyes White Dragon and a Mausoleum of White. Isn't that phenomenal? Fun times. Fun times. Napian, thank you for the 29 months. Appreciate that. Welcome back. All right. Well, we have reached back. We're back to the average 1 Blue Eyes in hand, which is as good as it gets. What do you think about Droplet and Snake Eyes? I don't think it's bad. I just think Snake Eyes wants hand traps. You got something over there. Imperm on the spirit. Okay, so that means I won't have the field spell, meaning I can't have an extra normal summon. I can still use True Light to summon out Blue Eyes. I think it's better to set wishes though. Ah! That's bad. Disaster struck. Okay, we have a non-target pop and a drone lockbird, and that's all. Maybe droll in a non. I mean, droll in a non-target pop is not the worst. Hope their deck is weak to droll, I guess. Heavy storm. Oh, yeah, that's probably just 10 pi, right? Wait. Hold. Oh, okay. All right. Definitely need to make something happen here. Normal seahorse. That's another imperm or called by for this. It's not good. It's not good. Man! Take 150, dude. I think it is 10 pi. Ah. If they need, like, if they need the Beatrice body for the Promethean Princess line, because they don't have a starter, then we could potentially maybe live it. I was thinking we can Ghost Ogre the Lacrima. Or the Beatrice even. Or we can ogre the Engraver to send and hope they don't have a normal summon. That could also work. If they even bother sending. Ogering sequence is a little too dangerous, I think, because then they might just make Desiree. And if they make Desiree with sequence in the graveyard, how am I gonna get out of that situation? So like, I think I shouldn't. Well, we need to ogre Beatrice and then hope they didn't draw a normal summon. Why not ogre the Lacrima? Why would I give them an extra body? The send from deck doesn't really matter because it's Tenpai, right? If they have a normal summon, there's a high chance I die. Okay. To that, I die no matter what. Even if I Ghost Ogre the Lacrima, that's a level 6, so it makes Beatrice no... I just can't beat that. I just cannot beat that. Yeah, I don't know. Blue Eyes... The problem with Blue Eyes is that, like, if it at least was consistent, you know, if it at least did the thing it's trying to do consistently, but no, it's not only is it a mid-range deck, but it's also a kind of bricky one at that. It doesn't play through hand traps well. It's kind of weird. It's kind of weird. But yeah, guys. Unfortunately, we're ending a little bit earlier today than usual. It's just about an hour earlier because I do have to be somewhere in like 30 minutes. So I hope you enjoyed today's stream. It will not have been the last stream of the week. I will actually be live on both days over the weekend, Saturday and Sunday. So yeah, I'll see you guys on the weekend. Hope you guys enjoyed today's stream. Hope it was helpful. Hope you enjoyed the Duelist Cup grind, the tier list, and so on and so forth. And I will see you guys on Saturday. Until then, let me find someone somewhere to raid and send you guys to. I'll send you guys to Farfa. So you guys have a wonderful rest of your day. Say hello to Farfa from me, and I will see you guys on Saturday. Once again, thank you for watching. Thank you for all your support, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye bye, everybody. Peace.